the thing I like. You got all different.
It's my wife, Kevin.
Hey, how are you? Pleasure to meet you.
Pleasure to meet you too. How are you?
I'm great. I'm great.
She's leaving.
I love you.
Yeah, the level of play, people were from the beginners all the way up to the people with good skill level. So I mean, that's you never know who you're gonna get matched up with out there.
Right. See, that's it's perfect for somebody who's kind of in mid like me. Like, you know, you play on one level and you have some success, then you go to the higher level and you get humbled and you come back and you keep working on, you keep working on parts of your game. So
you had a good partner when you guys play, when you and that one guy played, me and the other guy who was decently skilled, and we had that really good game going back and forth. That was a good game.
Yeah.
That guy's good who you played with. He's really good.
Yeah. That's why I said, I need I'm not good enough yet to like carry a duo, but if I have another good player playing with me, then we're good enough to do, I'm good enough that we can be good together. But if I got to carry the team, yes, I ain't there yet.
I mean, like your role, like what you said, all you got to do is get your serves in and then hit the ball over the net and then try not to make no mistakes. If you play your role like a player like you had, like when he skimmed that one off the top of my head, I said, yeah, he can play.
Yeah, I got to work on my serves, man. That's like right now I'm just trying to get them in, but I gotta do, like, the better players have serves that make you have to do something with them. And I don't have that part down yet, but
y'all been playing?
We played once. I went out to Wyoming and played one time, but it's just a little bit of drive. But I want to go back all the time. But
okay, I'm coming. We should all meet up one day and play.
Come on, Nathan.
Hey, you need to come on down to BFR, Nathan. We're gonna have a good old time down there.
Okay, I just might
pickleball courts take over, some tournaments and prizes.
Oh, that sounds like fun.
Gonna be down there DJing for us,
Oh, I'm there. I will be there. Rosemary, Phil, Terrace, and Brian are scheduled for today.
Packed house. Yeah, I was just watching before we came on. I was watching Stephen A. talking about the Fauci stuff, and he was apologizing to Kyrie Irving for vilifying him for not taking the vaccine back in the day.
Who is doing this?
Stephen A. Smith.
Fauci pleading the fifth.
Is that right? He was apologizing, huh?
Yeah, I think his point was not necessarily that he was like condemning or criticizing Fauci. I think he was just positing on how rough he and a lot of other people had been on folks who didn't take the vaccine, and that maybe there should have been a little bit more what's the word? A little bit more understanding, a little bit more tolerance.
Some grace.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't a fun time to be a non-vaxxer, I'll tell you that. I mean, they made it pretty hard for people who were non-vaxxers. I held out till I couldn't. Until the Swedes got too tough. But
well, I think it was one of those things back then. Like, it's so hard to remember, like, when you get 4 or 5 years away from it, just how the level of uncertainty and how scared folks were when that first came out. Like, it's easy to look back now, in hindsight, having a little bit more knowledge, still not all questions answered, but certainly having a little bit more knowledge and kind of sit in judgment of decision makers and folks who are, trying to make decisions in the middle of a lot of uncertainty. And it's a lot of revisionist history in that regard. in terms of not really remembering.
Yeah, a lot of people
How
are going to not remember
scary.
how they treated people. They're going to get amnesia when they remember. It's like, hey, didn't you try to tell me I was going to get people killed if I didn't get vaccinated? There was a lot of anti-vaxxer hate. I mean, my business was affected by it, like, because I held out on vaccination, like I said, until it was absolutely necessary. So I couldn't attend my son's football games, or, like it was. I was like, oh no, I ain't gonna be there for my sons. I'm gonna go ahead and bite the bullet. But I mean, I lost clients. People wouldn't come to my barbershop because I didn't get vaccinated. I mean,
Of course,
they spread it all the way around Covington, so I was a bad guy, and it was during election time, so they definitely vilified.
yeah,
I
you
felt
deserved every bit of it.
Oh,
You deserved every bit of
even
it.
after even after the fifth, even after Dr. Fauci has pleaded the fifth, you still saying that. Hey,
Yeah, like one has nothing to do with the other.
I give it to you.
Hey, Rosemary.
I give it to you. I give it up to you, man. If you go stay wrong and strong, my brother.
Hey, Rosemary, you saw your piece this last week?
Yes, thank you for posting. Yeah, I saw it, and some blog picked it up and like rewrote it, which was byblack.org. Yeah, like I was reading it and it dropped in.
How they rewrite it?
Yeah, they like took like everything that I had wrote and was like, yeah, it was weird. Like, and it was like, well, she said this, and from her, she's a fighting nonprofit. I don't even know the website, but it was on byblack.org. And I was like, dang, they can do that.
Did they quote that quote?
Well, I think probably what they did.
Yeah, that's what they did. They were like, she wrote this op-ed about this and
Right.
Support Black.
So it was a story about what you wrote. Yeah, they can get away with that. It's kind of a written version of sort of like what we do, where we take stories and then come in and talk about it. So, but yeah, if they had gone in and like actually altered your piece and ran it, like that would be different. But yeah,
that's all good. Like I was like, oh, that's nice. And then I've had a couple of people like reach out that want to have a conversation. But no, I appreciate you posting it. It's a point of view for everybody, specifically in Avondale, because it was so much conversation on it. Kind of was like I wrote it after we had that conversation on the last podcast, where it was like, we need to do more support in this way, but it's really hard to get people to listen on a podcast. So let me actually write, and emphasize what I feel like could support every business, in the Reading Road corridor. So, I know, I hope people continue to read it. It's still out there, and
yeah, it did pretty good traffic. It did pretty good traffic on Cincinnati.com, so it got read.
Good.
Hey, Brian.
Good.
Hey, how are you?
Doing well.
Hi, Mr. Gary, how are you?
Good. How are you today? Good to see you.
Hey, Rosemary, your
Rosemary.
mic sounds low to me. Didn't mean to cut you off there, Brian. Sounds a little bit low.
You're fine.
Everybody else sounds good.
No, let me see. It says every show now I'm having problems in it.
Well, mine shouldn't have any problems this time.
Yes, you're looking good, Brian. Looking and sounding good.
Praise the Lord. It was just that my battery was low. That's what all that was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, on my MacBook Pro. So that's what happened. I didn't know it would do all that.
Can you hear me now?
How are you, Kevin?
I'm good, Brian. How are you doing?
Doing good. How's everything at the Enquirer world?
Man, it's always busy. Always something happening.
I'm so surprised.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
I still hear you, and it still sounds low. Does it just sound low to me?
No, it sounds low.
It sounds a little. She sounded a little low to me earlier when we were
a little.
Okay, is it better? I'm gonna pull it close to me. Is it better?
It gets a little bit better. Yeah.
It's a little tinny, like tin canish.
See, I don't hear the tin part. I just hear it very, very low.
Hold on. Let me go out and try to come back in.
Okay. I just pumped it all the way up and it sounded decent.
Okay.
So it might be good enough.
Fine. So I'm not on the mic this time.
It still sounds low. It sounds a little low.
Yeah, it could be. if her volume's not turned all the way up, or on the mic, or if it just might be if she doesn't have her mic hooked up to her computer.
Do you have
No,
an
I don't have a
external?
mic today.
Okay.
Okay, so how am I now? I put it on stereo output.
That's great.
Much better. Much better.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's all right. We're going to get them together. So the last time it was echoing, so it's not echoing today, right?
No echo.
Okay. Awesome.
What were you saying about the Inquirer, Kevin?
No, you were about to say something. You said you were about to say you find it strange or funny or something like that.
Oh, well, not strange or funny, but I'm so surprised that they let you stay there all this time, because you're not a voice that they would always have. You know what I'm saying? Like they endorsed every Republican president from, I think it was except for Trump, all the way back in the history of their whole existence. So, I'm just saying, like, they had not Charles. What was his name? Bronson?
Yeah, Peter Bronson. Charles Bronson was was Dirty. No, not Dirty Harry. Who was Charles Bronson? He was one of those.
He was an actor.
He was, but he was in those like hard cop.
There's another
cop type shows.
Well, there's another Bronson versus the Board of Education in Cincinnati. That's who started all the lawsuit to desegregate schools.
Mm-hmm.
And he was actually the head of community development for the city under like Roxanne and stuff like that. And he said that he heard the mayor before Buddy Gray was killed say, "I wish they would just go somewhere and find him dead." He said that to me personally. So, and he said it was a conspiracy that Buddy Gray was murdered.
Wow.
That's what he said. And that's the person responsible for the desegregation of Cincinnati public schools. His brother was my dentist in Bond Hill. How's the church?
Church is good, man.
How was the church after that?
Well, we're on another topic now. Church is good.
Death Wish is what it was. Charles Bronson.
Yeah, that's it. Charles Bronson. Yeah.
Thanks. No empathy in the chat for
The Bronson family is a well-known family in Cincinnati as well. I think they lived in North.
I don't think the Inquirer has endorsed political candidates in this century. Not quite true. I think so interesting that Brian brought this up. So if people recall, back in 2015, 2016, I think it was 2016. Is that when Trump ran against Hillary? 2016?
Yes.
Yeah, we actually endorsed Hillary Clinton in that race.
Yes, that was the big shocker.
Yeah, that's like the first time in like 150 years that the Inquirer had, first time ever, and first time in 150 years the Inquirer had endorsed a Democrat. And man, the fallout from that was huge.
Yeah, and they definitely endorsed plenty of candidates this century.
Yeah,
lots of them. I mean, there's an Inquirer. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say though, but I think the era of Trump sort of killed political endorsements because it's, I mean, I guess it was always kind of this way, but with politics being what it is now, it's just kind of like anytime you endorse in these political elections, you're going to alienate, half your audience. And
right.
Yeah, it's a losing proposition no matter what you do. So
yeah,
all but the biggest newspapers, I think, kind of have moved away from that kind of endorsement of candidates. I mean, we still do issues, but not really candidates so much.
That's so interesting. Yeah, it in Cincinnati anyway, even they used to endorse in city council races and everything, but it didn't seem to have a whole lot of effect.
I mean, and that's the other argument. Yeah, I mean, that's the other argument is people kind of vote for, they vote for who they want to vote for. I mean, I think candidates like it because they can put on their campaign materials, endorsed by the Inquirer or WCPO or whomever. It works for campaigns and politicians to have, to add it to their list of endorsements, but I don't know how much it actually moves voters anymore, particularly in this environment where, Trump has kind of successfully villainized the media, and there's this sense of bias now. I don't think just exists with Republicans. I think people in general kind of feel like the media is somewhat biased. So
I think it probably did have some good effect, like in the 80s and 90s. I think it lost its effect at a certain point.
Yeah, I mean that's probably maybe the last era of high trust in the media. I think trust in the media has been descending probably ever since the 70s, really. Post Walter Cronkite, that era. It's been.
You're right. There was a lot of trust in the media back then.
Used to be.
Yeah, it was. If the media said it, it's got to be true. Now it's fake news.
Yep. I was just listening to an advertisement today for this aggregator site that's sort of billing itself as, return to true journalism, truly unbiased media, and they're promoting it as this is where you want to go if you want to get, just the facts or whatever. And I kind of chuckled behind that now there are even people in media who use that narrative to try to sell their platforms, which I think is interesting. You're in the media, but you're separate from media because you're less biased than the rest of the media. I just think that's
so much of the media now, they become okay. Like let's see, AFTAB's spokesperson came from Channel 12, I believe. She was. I don't think she's there anymore, but Hellwig was her last name. And then the police spokesperson, current spokesperson, came from, I think, Channel 12 as well. A lot of the government, the people who become, like Connie Pillich's chief of staff came from not chief of staff, but public relations person came from the Inquirer. So many of them come from the media and then end up in, the public sphere.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, those public relations communication jobs have long been sort of the fallback for journalists at post newspaper or TV careers.
Kevin Osborne was John Cranley's public relations. It came from the Post. Well, yeah, and maybe the Inquirer too, but for sure the Post.
Phil, just in time to interrupt. You're right.
Drop one of those bombs.
Is this the pre-show or the real show?
You got to figure that out.
Well, here's the thing. I'm not going to give you my best for some, off-camera pre thing. I save it for the real thing. That's just the way I am, guys. By the way, though, Brian and I had slight disagreements on the issue because he said nice things about my parents. I mean, he's got me in the palm of his hand. I can't say anything bad about the guy. I mean, yeah, he's somewhat.
Your parents were amazing people.
Okay, yeah, he's somewhat to the left of Mao, but that's okay. All right, I'll accept it.
But yeah, your mom and your dad, both amazing people.
Thank you. You're older than you look, man. Because if you knew my parents,
I knew your parents.
Wow.
That's right. He's your uncle. That's right, Uncle Brian.
I am 61.
Are you really? Man, you look good. Seriously for that. I mean, Kevin, he looks like, what are you, in the 70s now, Kevin? Kevin looks, nothing like you
Phil. Look, Phil. Yes. If I'm 70, then that means I was chiseling your tenure on city council on stone tablets.
That's right. He's 70, Phil. Black don't crack. Remember that. You remember that, Phil?
I've never heard that, but thank you. I'm glad that's helpful.
You never heard black don't crack?
Oh,
he said that's helpful.
No.
Terrence,
before you started the show, there was a lot of cultural things, films and things that came up. And to be honest with you, I was a little behind the 8 ball. I wasn't quite hip to it all. That's the way it is.
We can tell. We can tell.
Yeah, that lingo didn't make it out to Indian Hill, Terrace.
Black don't crack.
They listen to Herman's Hermits out there. You really think they've heard Black Don't Crack?
He just won't let go of that Indian Hill thing, I mean,
we do got to get together, Phil, so I can get you your album, man. I still got it.
Yeah, he's about Indian Hill the way Trump is about the 2020 election. You can't let go of it.
That's right. I'm taking it straight from the Trump playbook. If you repeat something enough, people will believe it.
If you repeat something enough, people like
that's what was happening last week on the show.
All right,
just keep repeating it, and it'll be true.
I'm buying you a Coke or breakfast or something. I got to get that. Definitely.
Mint condition. This is a mint condition.
It looks
just for you.
It looks great. Thank you.
How much could you sell an album like that for, Terrace?
Give me a second. I'll let you know. I got an app on my phone that tells me exactly how much an album is worth. It's called Vinyl.
We're working on this old house. We have all these old R&B.
Well, I tell you what, you can pass them on to a aspiring producer if you'd like. I'll take good care of them.
We might. They might not be in good enough shape for you. I don't know.
I'll do this Apple album on here. It's an app that you can.
Mm-hmm. So do you spin vinyl, Terrace?
Yes, sir. I listen to it, spin it, produce it, all that stuff.
I don't even have a record player.
$4.70.
Okay, not a whole lot.
Is how much this Herman's album. But hey, Phil, it's worth way more than that to me to give to you in my heart. It's priceless.
Terrace, the sentimental value far outweighs any financial price. And
exactly.
And you're giving that from you to me. I'm choked up. Choked up.
Good gesture.
All right, guys, I'm overwhelmed. I'm gonna go ahead and get put everybody backstage, and we'll get started.
You better. We're already.
Oh, I got the cut Phil off by accident, and I like it. It felt good. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back. Welcome back to Hot Mic Cincy. Nathan Ivey with you, humble host and moderator. Got a great crew together, put together for you. We're going to run through some topics. Great to have spend some time with you today, and I really appreciate you. We got Rosemary with us again. How you doing, Rosemary?
I'm good. How are you? Thanks for having me back on.
Oh, absolutely, looking good as always. We got Brian back with us. How you doing, Brian?
Good. How are you today?
Doing well. Got Phil Heimlich, the great interrupter. How you doing, Phil?
I sit here humbly before you, sir.
Good to hear it. Okay. We got Kevin Aldridge with us, the voice of reason. How you doing, sir?
Happy Friday to everybody. The great interrupter. I love it.
And of course,
By the way,
not,
do you know something?
Right there.
Do you? And
there
let
it
me tell you guys
is.
something. Do you know that Abraham Lincoln was known as an interrupter? Did you know that?
I did not know that, but I'm sure
I
you
didn't
do.
either. I just made it up.
You just made it
I
up.
was going to say that might explain why he got shot.
Good one. Good one. And of course, last but not least, the elephant in the room, Terrence Horton. How you doing, sir?
Doing wonderful. Glad to be here with you guys. on this.
Terrace, how's
Now,
your friendship with what's his name, Garoline or whatever his name is? You guys kind of brunching together,
Galleron?
having sleepovers. You know, you guys building that
Turncoat Terrace.
relationship.
Oh man,
Turncoat Terrace. Talked all that talk about Massey, and look at you. Look at you. You should be ashamed of yourself, sir.
That's what you call a fair weather friend.
Fair weather.
Oh no! I've already explained myself a few times. I can't explain myself anymore.
All right, cool. Hey, what's up, Deanna? Everybody in the chat, appreciate you. Kim and Erica and Ross and Brenda, really appreciate you. No empathy. Black Lion, Tony, Deanna, Pamela, Nat. Good to see everybody. Really appreciate you. Let's just jump into it. Let's talk about, this is local news. This is Ohio news. It's called the Success Sequence. Basically, Ohio Republicans have passed this, and what it's going to do now is schools are going to be required to teach the success sequence, which is they're going to require schools to teach students to graduate high school, get a job, get married in that order before you have a child. And again, they're calling this the success sequence. And this is how it's going to be here in Ohio. Who should teach values like marriage and families? Parents or schools, in your opinion? Should the government be involved in this? What do you think? Somebody other than Kevin has to start us off. Kevin always starts.
I'll start it off.
Hell
All
no.
right, go right ahead, Rosemary.
I'll start it off because I'm not for everybody for some that know me, some that don't. I was a teen parent. And I actually work with teens who have children and are parenting. And so, from an economic, I don't know which way y'all say it, but standpoint, I think that it should be taught in that way if we're going to formulate this opinion. There's been a lot of research that says that you are far less likely to end up on a financial cliff, especially as women, and minorities, if you go in this order. And so I'm not necessarily opposed to it. So I don't think it even is about morals or is about how you should act or live your life. I think that it's just when we look at how many people experienced poverty and all of the programming and all these things, they're just saying, hey, if you go this route, if somebody is not teaching that, and again, I think that they should take it from an economic stance. I teach this through Rosemary's Babies Company, even though we kind of did it out of order. When I had my baby, I was like, hey, I need a husband because I can't do this by myself. I understand 2 incomes are better than 1. And so I think that it is fundamentally important for kids that don't understand because they may have not seen it in that order to say, it's important for me to get my future in order. And when I get to college, maybe find a husband or a mate before I choose to have these children, because a lot of women are not looking at their finances before they determine that, they should have a child or take care of a child. So I'm not necessarily opposed to this at all, and have curriculum that I'm willing to put out there to see if I can get it funded in the schools and help to teach that curriculum through Cincinnati Public.
Okay. So you're saying thumbs up. You think this is all right. Anybody else? What do you think?
Yeah, I kind of agree with Rosemary. I don't have a problem with it. I mean, I think I would probably label it maybe more under life planning, because I think more young people can use that, and it's not necessarily about trying to tell people how to live. I think it's more or less giving them information. And I agree with Rosemary in terms of presenting it from an economic standpoint, providing some statistics, because there are a lot of different ways that you can do life. But I think that there are certain things that happen to you in life that if it happens to you at a certain age, it does set you back and create challenges. I mean, that's just a fact, like it or not. And I think as much as we can try to position our kids to put them in places where they can make informed, smart decisions to allow them to make the best life possible. Or if they do choose to go in a different direction, that they at least have that knowledge, right? I'd rather a kid make a decision with good information and good knowledge in front of them, as opposed to making bad decisions in ignorance. So I don't see it as a negative. Whether or not that should come from the parents or the school system, I think the two have always been and should always be something that works in concert. Yeah, you would hope that someone that parents would be teaching this kind of thing at home, but not every child comes from a home like that. Not every child has a parent who themselves is equipped to pass along that information, because maybe they've made some decisions that have put them in a bad spot. So I don't think you can ever have enough people pouring into our kids trying to give them good information to help them be successful. So it's not an either or. I always think it should be both.
I agree with both Kevin and Rosemary, and I want to take it a step further, that it should go outside of education and it should be incentivized for couples who do go this route. Or let's say if they show in high school that they want to go this route, there'll be, like there's college preparatory route, there could be a success sequence route that they go and get incentivized monetarily. You know, so much in our society we give breaks to people who do things out of order. And it's not men, and it's particularly not black men. We get jail. We don't get help. We go to jail, go get locked up. Or some people who go the opposite way of the success sequence, so to speak, they'll get assistance and they'll get used to being on the assistance to where they'll get stagnant and not want to move further past that. I say we have that same kind of incentivized programs for couples and people who want to go the success sequence route. Say if they're 16 years old and they identify that they want to go the success sequence, we say, okay, if you graduate, we'll have $1,000 here for you, and we'll put it in this fund, and we can let it grow, and we can teach them financial literacy. So I go on and on and on. But I agree with this, but I think they should take it a step further and incentivize people who do things the right way, instead of sometimes incentivizing people who get a chance, who get second, third, and fourth chances with except if they look like me and who are black males, then we go to jail.
I think that it basically does what our country is doing to people all over the place. You know, with drug addiction, you know, this is dealing with poverty, but with gun violence, it puts everything upon the individual, and it ignores the fact that everyone is living inside of a aquarium or a pond, and that the man, you know, had his prize fish pond, had all these beautiful fish in it. One of them died. He said, "Oh, what's wrong with this fish?" You know, he wanted to analyze it, you know, get an autopsy on the fish. Then the next few days, like 100 of his fish died. He had to ask a different question, right? Not what's wrong with the fish, what's wrong with the pond. And what this does is it ignores, I think, the fact, you know, when they're talking about, okay, here's how you get out of poverty. Well, maybe everyone could get out of poverty if there were different policies, different opportunities that were made available through us collectively, which is the government. Then you wouldn't have to have this sort of mentality that everything is upon the individual, because just going to work full time, that definitely doesn't equate getting out of poverty, because if you work full time at the minimum wage, you're not out of poverty. And so, you know, saying that this education somehow is going to guarantee, or, you know, a GED or high school diploma is somehow going to elevate your economic status, I mean, that's obviously not true as well. And then you got to go marry someone. I mean, what if it's the wrong person? I mean, you know, I don't know. I can't, you know, the marriage part, you know, get married before you have babies. Not necessarily saying that's the wrong thing to do, but just to have that sort of expectation when majority of people are born out of wedlock, I do believe. That's a fact. I think
That
it's
is a
maybe
fact.
around 50-50 or maybe higher. Maybe it's 52% or something like that. But that's like saying abstinence, don't have sex, instead of maybe saying wear a condom. Anyway, go ahead.
But proper, I don't know, Phil, did you want to jump in there, or can I go ahead and rebuttal?
You go ahead. Go ahead. I don't like to interrupt, so go ahead, Harris.
So I understand what you're saying, Gary, but like if you start teaching people a certain way to live a life and show them the benefits of it and reward them, marriage could be a good thing if you learn how to properly pick the right person from the beginning, and you don't operate from trauma and from things that I'd operate from a place of uneducatedness. If there was preparatory classes that they have for people have preparatory classes. I don't know if it's a class thing or a socioeconomic thing, but even in arranged marriages, they have. Okay, I'll say this: in the 30s and 40s, in the 30s and 40s, the black family had a 70 to 80, 90% two-family household family whenever they had a baby rate, and our society was booming, our culture was booming. And then as soon as 65 came and they did the civil rights stuff, and then they started integrating and doing all this stuff, and then we started losing our two-family household to where we're at a 70% opposite. We're at the opposite, completely opposite. 60 years later, and we see where society and the black world last. We have our socioeconomic work it's so low. That's by design. So if we could start tweaking how we're teaching, and if some people don't like it, I think that we should incentivize the people who do like it. And I guarantee you, after the studies come out, after they do this stuff, the people who follow this success sequence and do it the correct way will be far more successful than the people who don't do it. But that's designed that way too, because they need people to go fill up the jail. I just wish that it wouldn't be people who look like me, black men.
Well, the rich need the poor in order to get wealthy. And so just because you're working, again, full time does not mean you're getting out of poverty. In fact, the poor work much, much harder than the rich.
Well, I think to Brian's point, I mean, look, there are a lot of extenuating economic circumstances, and I could get into it's not how much you make, it's how much you keep, it's what you spend, what affordability is. There's a lot of different things that we could get into financially, because there are, quite frankly, a lot of people who make good money who have a poverty mindset in terms of how they deal with their money. I suffered from it for probably the first 3 or 4 years of my professional career. I made a lot of good money, but I had a poverty mindset, didn't save anything, didn't spend money wisely. So it sometimes is not always what your income level is, it's what you do with what you have. But to me, this whole thing, again, I look at it as having information, not necessarily trying to tell people what to do or how to live. Because like I said, there are many different ways to do life. And for every person that you can say followed the success model and they were successful, there were people who didn't follow it and were successful. And so I think this is not about getting caught up in, oh, there's only one way to do it. It's about equipping our kids with information, and it maybe even some statistical likelihoods. Like, hey, if you go down this direction, if you go down this path, not that you can't be successful, but here are the obstacles and challenges and the percentage likelihood that you could succeed or fail, right? So this is just it's all in trying to provide kids with some guidance and some good information to help them decide what path they want to go down, for their lives. And you're not going to be able to teach them everything, so how to choose the best partner and mate and all of that, man. A lot of that is subjective, comes down to individuals. There's no class or nothing that's going to take the place of sometimes personal life experience. But as someone who feels like they achieved a certain success in life by somewhat following this success path, right? I cannot sit here and say that sequence
is wrong.
I don't believe that sequence doesn't produce success, because I feel like I'm an exact model of that. And
the sequence is trash. The sequence is trash.
That's like you're saying he's trash when you say that.
Of course, I would never say that about Kevin. I'm absolutely not saying that.
You kind of implied it.
In no way did I imply that. Absolutely not. I'm saying this whole success sequence nonsense is just that. It's right-wing indoctrination. I am disappointed in Kevin. I'm disappointed in Terrace, and I'm disappointed in Rosemary. Especially Rosemary.
Sounds
and
like you've had a lot of disappointment today.
No,
I'm disappointed off the jump, especially in you two, because y'all supposed to be Republicans. Republicans are all about freedom, all about living your life the way you want to. And now you want to rubber stamp an idea of Republicans in the state house trying to tell children how to live their life, not just how to live your life, the sequence in how to live your life. See, here's what's the problem with it is it's all trash. The success sequence for young adults does not start with when they're in high school. It starts with the conditions that their parents and grandparents lived in, the households they were able to raise. It starts with K-3 education. That's where it starts. That's where it starts, not just when you become a young adult and you get into a position where you might get married. And why the hell are we telling young people that you got to marry some slob who might be abusing you? He might be a grown-up child. And we telling these young girls that the way for you to be successful is to marry that for the rest of your life? Preposterous. Y'all all should be ashamed of yourselves.
I don't remember reading that in the bill.
So I'm gonna say this because you just trying to start some fire, and it's cool.
Oh yeah,
he's trying to start some fire. But I'll say this, Nathan Ivy, you have a daughter, and I'm pretty sure you're not telling your daughter to get pregnant in high school, and if she gets pregnant, you know she don't got to go to college because again.
Do you want to know what I'm telling my daughter?
Rosemary, you got him on that.
This was evidence-based materials, and like I said, it
wasn't evidence-based at all.
This is evidence-based. It is, and they got a whole foundation and all these things and all the research. But I'm speaking from personal experience because a lot of times in families, what we say is don't get pregnant, don't go out here and have a baby. But nobody is saying economically, if you go out here and you have a baby, you're going to end up on the system. Or
everybody's saying that.
No, they're not.
Yes, they are.
You know who's not saying it? Glorilla, when she's saying go get the bag, swerve, turn.
You know why? Because she's a rap artist.
But what I'm saying
Rosemary.
is,
she's a rap artist. She's not your parent.
But these role models, these rappers, have more influence on youth than the parents, the church, or any of the governmental officials. So we need something else to complement what the culture has said. When I'm a bad bee, I can be a single mother, I can do all these things, and that's why we have all of these pregnancies that are unintended. That's why the government is now getting to a whole lot of babies,
Rosemary.
And that's why I teach my teen parents that it's okay that you made a choice. It was a choice, but you can change your trajectory.
And that's what Glorilla and these other artists you just talked about. We need somebody out here telling these young girls who might have gotten a child younger, whose life at the very start may not be what they envisioned, that you can still be a bad bee. You can still go out here and be something with your life. We need somebody out there encouraging these young people. Nothing wrong with that. Like I said, you asked me what I tell my daughter. What I tell my daughter is the first person she's supposed to marry is herself.
Wow.
That's the first person she's supposed to marry. Before she talk about some poo butt guy, you better love yourself, fall in love with you. Fall in love with you as an individual. See, that would be the true success.
The first love of a daughter is her father.
Rosemary. That's what our schools don't do.
And most of these girls
we try to give this cookie cutter approach to everything. What we need to be telling these young people is the first person that you need to fall in love with is you. The first person that you should get married to, that you should make a lifelong commitment to, is yourself.
So are you saying that if I'm not in love with myself, there's something?
Figure out what you like to do. Figure out what you want to do with your life before you betroth yourself and connect yourself to somebody else. You don't know how they've been raised. You don't know what their emotional state is. That in and of itself is a failure that we need to rectify and tell these young people the truth. The first person you marry is not some dude or some woman. It's you. Fall in love with yourself.
So are you telling children to go to college, never get married. Again, what is wrong with saying if you go this way, there's possibilities for success. If you don't go this way, there's possibilities for success. I'm not against the rapper that people might follow, but what I am saying is we do need something to complement that. This is a way too for those kids that are not being educated and are not familiar, because it was not taught to me that way. And it is not taught to the more than 3,000 teens that I serve. So I'm speaking from a place of experience, lived experience, and educational, evidence-based education and knowledge. So I think that it is a way to teach about it economically, especially when our government is carrying a lot of single parent households led by women, and the government is now daddy and we're paying for it. So I applaud them for trying to educate people.
It clearly ignores, systemic racism. It puts all this upon the individual. If you look at, the study after study, I mean, the Urban League put out the State of Black Cincinnati. Black Cincinnati has 11% of the wealth of white Cincinnati. You're going to say, oh, that's all because why? Black people are lazy. Black people are just what? Tell me, why do black people have 11% of the wealth of white
single
people?
father,
Just answer that question.
Single parent households.
So that's why they don't have enough wealth. So if all the black parents, which black parents, single parent households has exploded over the past, and in both races over the past, few decades, and prior to that, and in fact, probably most people who are black in Cincinnati, that their parents or their grandparents were married and remained married for the rest of their lives, but they somehow miraculously being married increased their net value, their net worth. It's remained 11%. In fact, it was less than 11% previously. So explain to me how that marriage in real life terms in Cincinnati increased the wealth.
So I just have a question for you, Brian Gary. So are you telling black women and people that are underrepresented not to get married at all? To have children?
Well, no, I'm just simply stating that
saying?
I'm stating
because
that
all
this
they're saying
system,
is get an education and get married, because it's pretty positive. I think marriage rocks. So what are you saying? That people shouldn't get married? Is that what you're saying?
Half the people are not married. Half the people in Cincinnati and around the country are not married. And it's like as if saying to be successful, you have to be married.
No, that is not what they're saying.
I'm pretty successful.
That's not what they're saying.
I'm pretty happy with my life. I'm not married.
Here's
not
the
everyone needs to be married.
Here's the fallacy in Brian's argument. I understand what he's trying to say, right? Look, and I'm always going to say this. I'm always a big personal responsibility person, and it starts there. The only thing you have control over completely 100% is your life and your decisions and taking responsibility for those things. So you cannot put that off on somebody else. Now, that also does not absolve what Brian talks about the systems of discrimination, inequality, and racism that afflicts
the pond in which we live.
That afflicts our people. But that being said, you still have to, as a person who is a minority, that cannot become an excuse. You still have to have a certain degree of personal responsibility, drive, and motivation. It can't just be all racism, and that's a reason for me to tap out and make bad decisions. It may be a challenge for you. In fact, I think because of the racism and the discrimination and issues that we face, it's more incumbent that we teach these things to our people and our children, because it is more required that you be buttoned up than a white person, because you have fewer second chances. You have fewer legitimate opportunities. So you definitely got to make sure that you're on point. Look, the falling back and crying racism, how has that worked out for us for the last 50 to 100 years, right? That's not what's going to progress us, is just simply the cry. I'm not saying we don't. I'm not saying we don't march,
but you acknowledge it.
Protest. But there has to be a certain measure of personal responsibility, Brian. So I'm okay.
Along with collective responsibility.
Because the individual is all a lot of people got.
And Brian, I want to ask your analogy that you use with the pond. We recognize what pond we're swimming in, and we are working our butts off not to be one of those 100 or the one that got swept up. we recognize the pond. As a black man in America, I recognize the pond that I'm swimming in. And I work strategically every day to swim around this pond to stay out of be the one. So I get what you're saying, but we're past that. Now we want.
No, we're not. No, we're not. Not when black people have 11% of the wealth of white people.
So when black people can say to you, we understand why we have 11% of the wealth because of, let's start with single family homes and not having two family.
Reason.
That's root causes. Root causes. Let's go. So the economic system of white race. So we know that. We know that. We see that happening. We understand that.
Nothing about getting married or not married.
The systemic racism started the most in the 65, whenever that civil rights movement happened and our family was destroyed. We have to recognize that. And we have to, when people start telling us as black people that that's not where it started, when we had a track record of domination up until that point, then we have to really take, we have to take, hey, we have to, black wealth prior to 1965 was way more, prior to the 1920, right after Reconstruction, and the black family was on fire, and we were outperforming every demographic in every category, education, in every category. I'm not even gonna go into it. And then they did the Black Wall Street.
Like you're off.
We didn't need that. We didn't need that. We worked within our own. We worked within our own system. And the few that did go to college and became doctors, they would come back to the neighborhood and serve our neighborhoods. We had our own hotels.
That's correct.
Our own. We had.
But you just have to look at the pure numbers.
So how did we get there? The root causes. How did we get there? How did we get there, Brian? You're saying racism. We understand racism, so we want to go the root causes of how we got there. How did we get there? When we started breaking up the family, the black family, incentivizing the women. I'm just going to say it. The women get incentivized for having children. And it was systemically done by white racism. So you're talking about, with this racism, we want to get to the root causes and then stop it from happening in the future. Not, we know what pond we're swimming in, so we just got to deal with it. We're past.
No, I didn't say you have to deal with it. We have to change the pond.
We
must change the pond.
Good Goody writes, been ruled for 50 years by hip hop reinforcing antisocial black culture.
What?
That was a fair question. Exactly. I don't know. People it's hip hop. It's hip hop. It's always hip hop and black young people's fault.
Hip hop reinforcing black.
Phil, what do you think about this whole success sequence?
Well, first, Brian, I got to say, you're making the rest of these guys look like rock-ribbed conservatives. Okay, so let me start out by saying that. But I actually think that the message is a good message, and I'll tell you why. Because it's a secular message, and I can't stand these guys who are in Texas and they're trying to require the 10 Commandments in school prayer. To me, that's totally unconstitutional. But I agree with Nathan that it is incredibly hypocritical every time these federal or state leaders we conservatives, we're supposed to be opposed to top-down rules. We're supposed to be opposed to that. I don't want these guys, we're a bunch of idiots anyway, these guys in the state legislature telling schools what to do. That's why we have school boards. Okay? School boards, if school boards want to teach this, which I think is a good message, they want to teach it, fine. But this top-down stuff, and this is where we get all this, like in Florida, what are they, book burning and all this stuff is terrible. And while we're on it, if I could say another badly needed message in schools, and again, not top-down, is financial responsibility. Do you know, and I don't care if it's a private school, a low-income school, high-income, kids are so illiterate financially when they finish high school. They don't even know the difference between a checking account and a savings account. They don't know the difference between a bond and a stock. And then they go off to college, and what happens? Well, they get all these advertisements for credit cards, and they sign on, and then they're in debt. So just while we're on the subject of curriculum, I don't know what you guys think. I think it is so critical for kids to be taught financial stuff at school.
give this five mics. Absolutely, Phil. Shame on Rosemary and Terrace. Shame on y'all. Y'all supposed to be the Republicans, like Phil said, standing up against the tyranny of the government. To Phil's point, if the Cincinnati Public School Board and parents got together and said, we want to introduce this in the Cincinnati Public Schools, I still wouldn't like it, but it would be far more acceptable because that's local. The state government should not enforce these rules on local cities. They could be against our norms and what local people really want. It is dead wrong.
Nathan, agreeing with Phil on this because he's setting you up for a trap. He's setting you up for a trap, and you just took the debate because you, Mister, standing on the federal government and the Department of Education. Phil just led you right into the mousetrap because if you're going to sit here and say that the state shouldn't be involved in telling local schools what to do, then you ought to believe the federal government shouldn't be involved in telling what local schools to do. Phil led you breadcrumbs, cheese, peanut butter on the trap.
Oh, shucks. You're just being too nice to me. Thank you so
right
much.
down into the rabbit hole. And you went,
Nathan,
you
what he's
every
doing
drop of it whole. Because you can't say that government should not be involved, that it should be local decisions. That's a Republican talking point.
Nathan,
if you believe that with this state rule,
let him talk.
then you should
Let him talk. No, let's hear what Kevin has to say. He thinks he has a point. Go right ahead, Kevin.
No, I do think it's a point. I think either you think that higher levels of government have a say in local education or they don't. I don't see how you can say that the state shouldn't be able to say anything, but the federal government, which is an even farther distance from local schools.
Well, let me answer this way. I believe the federal government shouldn't be able to tell local schools the same thing. How is that a contradiction?
Well, because the federal government does it all the time.
No, what I'm saying is,
no child
if the federal government decided they want to do this,
policies that are the standard, the testing.
How am I being inconsistent though, Kevin? You claim that I was inconsistent. I believe that the federal government should not be able to tell Cincinnati public schools what to do with their curriculum and tell them what the success sequence should be. I seems consistent to me.
Okay. I mean, just whenever we've gotten in conversations about the level of federal involvement, you've always been a staunch advocate for the Department of Education and federalizing of education.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, those have been points that you've stood on.
And I believe that the state, because people pay federal taxes, and I believe that the state should also pay for parts of our education as well. And I still believe that both of those entities, whether it be the federal Department of Education and the state legislatures, should not be able to tell Cincinnati that you have to implement some kind of success sequence that they have to teach. That sounds consistent to me.
And I'm just saying success comes from people having equal opportunity. And when people do have equal opportunity, that's when Black people will have the same wealth as white people.
All right, let's move on. It's a fascinating conversation. I appreciate all the input. Let's talk about Dr. Fauci. I know this is something that Terrace wants to get to. Dr. Fauci was questioned by the Senate. It's really strange. Was this like oversight or was this political theater? That was my number one question. But Ohio Senator Bernie Moreno has gone viral because basically he cursed at Dr. Fauci. He asked him, who the F do you think that you are? And he's been getting crazy rounds about this. Rand Paul, Kentucky senator, it's a very local conversation. He has had it in for Dr. Fauci.
What was it, Nathan? What was it that they were talking about? The research, like, did Fauci pay for research, or he had a lab in Wuhan? Or
what we do know is that Dr. Fauci pled the fifth over and over and over again. And there are some reasons behind it, but I think depending on how you look at this, you're going to make this into whatever you want it to be. Rappers are now paying attention. The rapper, what's his name? A Soldier Boy, he put out something saying, hey, I knew the COVID thing was a hoax. Look at Dr. Fauci. So everybody are latching onto this. But, I'll play a clip in a second. But, I mean, from your perspective, the way you see it, was this oversight or political theater, in your opinion? This whole thing with Dr. Fauci, the Senate testimony and the
it's
whole nine.
political theater because this is old news.
Right.
Rand Paul from Kentucky has been in, and I've been watching it for the past since COVID happened. Rand Paul,
He looked like a crazy person.
pressuring him for the past 4 or 5 since COVID. Since Rand Paul has been on him. So what the clips that you guys are seeing recently, there's clips that go back and where Fauci actually answered questions back and would get put in a corner. So this is all him pleading the fifth is just political theater. And what it does, it puts fuel on the fire, or it exacerbates, or it gives the Trumpers or the MAGA crowd, and hey, I told you so. We were right. Look at what we went through. Look at what you guys put Kyrie Irving through. Look at what we all had to go through. Everybody was affected by whether you were going to take the shot or not. And Fauci, we all said that he was going to have to have this moment. And we all said that when he got the pardon from Joe Byron, that this is why he got it, is because he wasn't going to stand up to the questions that he would have to answer, because everybody's life was affected by this man.
Okay. So you saying it was political theater?
Okay. Again, Terrence, what was his name?
Who? Joe Byron?
Yeah. Okay. I just wanted to make sure I heard that right.
Joe Byron. Who's Joe Byron?
Yeah, I think, you know what, Phil, you know what, you're right. I mean, as I'm watching, I'm like, this is nothing new here. Part of me feels like this was purely political theater because, you know, the Republicans need a win. They need something to get people out on and, you know, capture
years
some attention,
ago.
try to get some to just try to take some attention away from what's happening with Donald Trump and the things that he's doing. Because I you know, it's politics though. So, you know, he sat there, he took it, he pled the fifth. It makes him look bad. But, you know, I don't know. I read something, and maybe, Phil, you can speak on this if you've got the expertise and insight. I think the reason why he pleaded the fifth is because he took a pardon, and somehow
it's exactly correct. Here's why he did it, and any lawyer with assault would have advised him, because here's the thing. First of all, he knew going in, these guys are trying to pin anything they can on him, and if they can charge him with a crime, they're going to do it. Whether it was right or wrong for Biden to pardon him, and probably wasn't, but the fact is, he can't be prosecuted for anything that's occurred in the past. So naturally, when he's going up against a group of people who are just putting on a show trial and trying to make him look as bad as possible and to trip him into something they could charge him with, his lawyer said, hey, plead the fifth. Okay, that's just good legal advice.
Good legal advice is not what Dr. Fauci said verbatim when he was pushed before. When he said, if and when, this is during COVID, he said, if and when I'm ever brought in front of an oversight committee, I will testify. I will not plead the fifth. So he's going against his own words here.
You know,
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
You know,
but if you can't hold Donald Trump to a certain, and I'm not saying this, but you can't hold Donald Trump to a certain standard of what he should do. But when you had Dr. Fauci, the head person involved with the medical part of COVID, and not hold him up to the same standard and say, it's okay. We give him a pass. Because not everybody's going to give him a pass. You guys might, but there's a lot of people that are not giving this guy a pass.
Okay, let me respond to that. First of all, when he said, I don't know what date that was, but he could not foresee, I don't think, the fact that every part of the MAGA...
That he was wrong?
Okay, let me finish. He first of all, he couldn't foresee... Naturally, he's going to say, I'm happy to testify. He couldn't foresee that the entire MAGA base was going to try to make a criminal out of him. And by the way, do you know who was in charge of federal policy for all this stuff during the pandemic? Do you know who was in charge? Donald Trump was in charge. He was in charge. Fauci reported to him. Okay? Every decision that was made, Trump made the decision. And the idea that they're going to blame Fauci for anything is absolutely outrageous. And did you see that so-called diary, which I thought was so sleazy, to take a man's private diary and release it? And there was nothing in there. It was a nothing burger. It was just him boasting, it made him look bad because he's saying, oh, I'm so famous, and all these movie stars had nothing to do with the issue. They just did that to humiliate him and to embarrass him. And just so everybody remembers, Bob Woodward, when he wrote that book he pointed out that while Trump was publicly saying this is going to be over in a month, it's nothing, it's going to be over by spring, he was telling Woodward that this was a terrible pandemic. So the man was just lying through his teeth. And so let's please,
similar to Fauci.
Let's put the blame where it belongs.
What do you
Does
mean
anyone-
Fauci? The terrorist. How can you say similar to Fauci when Fauci reported to Trump?
After November
But
of 2020, he
does anyone
did
have
not
any
report that. Hold on. He asked me a question. For after November 2020, he no longer reported to Trump. He was no longer the president. After January 6th, 2024, after the insurrection or whatever, Joe Biden got handed everything. So from 2021 January up until the end of the pandemic, that was Joe Biden's fault, and he hoisted and postured Dr. Fauci and all his minions up there to push that vaccine, and to vilify anyone who did not take it. And if you didn't feel vilified, if you didn't feel vilified, if you did not take it, and if you did not vilify someone for not taking it, you're lying to yourself.
Can we just be honest that all of this vitriol and everything for Dr. Fauci came, as it always does with Donald Trump, when you don't do what he wants you to do, when you don't behave the way that Donald Trump wants you to behave, you become public enemy number one. And that's what happened to Dr. Fauci. They didn't have a problem with Dr. Fauci until he didn't get up there and say things as nicely as Donald Trump thought he should say. In fact, Dr. Fauci told the truth about the information and what we knew at the hand at the particular time, and wasn't out there spouting nonsense like injecting bleach or lying about how serious the pandemic was. No, Dr. Fauci tried to put the facts out there. And we know Donald Trump's allergic to facts, right? And so this vilification of Dr. Fauci began under Trump, and it has continued since under Trump. This hearing was nothing but political theater because they knew when they called him to testify what Fauci was going to do. They knew he was going to plead the fifth. And this was just their opportunity to ask every question and conspiracy theory they wanted to put out there that they knew he couldn't answer the question to try to make him look bad, that he had something to hide, that he was trying to evade. It's why they kicked his lawyer out of the hearing, right? It was why Rand Paul kicked his lawyer out of the hearing and didn't want him to speak in there. I get Fauci was testifying, but as Phil said, the man was not going to put his pardon in jeopardy, because why would you? You got these vultures who are already circling, looking to criminalize you and throw you in jail under false pretenses. So why am I going to do anything that would impact my pardon so that the wolves that are laying in wait can get at me? I'm taking the fifth too, and
Absolutely.
You would too, Terrace. You're disingenuous.
No,
anybody out there who's sitting there saying, if you know somebody is wanting to put you in jail and your only protection, you're going to protect yourself. This is what I hate about the
and it's no coincidence that it's happening.
Arguments. Because if it was you would not put your life, your family on the line either. You would shut the hell up and let them posture and do what they do. And if you want to sit there and try to act like you wouldn't, you're telling a lie.
I would have to face the consequences. I have to face the consequences.
It all comes out from years ago.
At the midterms, like you say, and people are going to remember this. And just like you guys are mad about the January 6ers, who the Republicans just swept all their actions under the rug, which I don't think they should have, the Republicans who are on the fence moderately thinking about voting or not going to be voting, Dr. Fauci is going to send them to the polls. Guarantee you.
That's what it's all about.
That's what it's all about.
That's what it's all about.
Guarantee.
Can we hear from Rosemary? What's your take, Rosemary? What do you think about the whole thing with Dr. Fauci and him pleading the fifth?
Yeah, I mean, like, all in all, like, even though he has a pardon, he could have perjured himself. So of course he gon' shut up, because he could have been investigated for anything. I'm more offended with. I mean, I'm tired of all the theatrics of all of the Congress people. It's a show, and even for Bernie Moreno, who I've met him personally, but I've never heard the dude cuss in person. I think that all of these politicians looking for viral moments so that they can get views and keep people focused on something that has nothing to do with the work at hand, because they're not doing anything. And so I'm just getting sick and tired of all the schematics from all the politicians, on both sides. And I
And
think
don't
they
forget
need to get back to the
fundraise.
work at hand for Americans.
On both sides.
Don't
On
forget they
both sides.
fundraise off of that too, Rosemary. It's not just about
Yes.
the clicks and the views. It's about sending out that email after you have that viral moment.
That viral
saying,
moment, of course.
Send me $100. You know what I'm saying?
Of course. Of course.
And take it one more
that
step
does
further.
it all the time.
What you're saying a step further, when he goes and he's at the town halls and meets and stuff like that, it'll be a stumping ground for him. Like I said to Dr. Fauci, when I cussed at Dr. Fauci, that's out of my character, but I cussed it, and then get all those people all riled up, and they'll give him more money and get more votes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because a lot of times on the Republican side, like even when I was campaigning, people looked at it as if you're not attacking certain people from the party, or if I wasn't attacking Landsman, then I'm soft or I'm a punk. So they kind of urge you to do these type of get hype things. And the thing is, like, I still have to look in the mirror. I still have to carry this campaign. And is this the way I want to move my campaign for funders? And so a lot of that is politically motivated. If you look at the lobbying and all of the dollars and things such as that. And so, I mean, ultimately, I just think it was smoke and mirrors, and I'm sick and tired of all of them. And if we are supposed to be this respective party for our kids, like, what if your kids were talking to their teachers that way?
True.
And so I look at all of that, like, we are supposed to be examples, and we're just not doing that anymore. And so that leads back to the other conversation, the success sequence, and moves into this. Like, there's just a lack of moral compass or even principles in this new environment, and it's very disheartening.
But does anyone have more information about that research you're talking about? Like, he had an investment in the lab or something in China. What were they saying?
It was a medicine. It was a medicine that prior to it hitting publicly, there was some kind of medicine that they ended up playing around with the stock market, and it made like 50 million, and he was an investor on it. They also, they link a few people with it. I was kind of looking over some of it, but it just kind of gave me a headache about all of it. But it is what it is.
Check this. This is Bernie Moreno talking with Dr. Fauci.
Run for the United States Senate. Here I am sitting in front of you 6 years later saying, who the do you think you were for doing that? It is a total disgrace what you did to this country. And if my Democrat colleagues are standing there defending you.
Now, what's interesting is, and again, I don't know if this is confirmed or not, but there's a lot of credible reports out there that his daughter right now is involved. Bernie Moreno's daughter is dating a man who's in the Ohio General Assembly.
No.
Okay,
no,
set me straight.
No. May I explain?
Set me straight, yeah.
May I explain? She married a guy named Max Miller. If you remember, Anthony Gonzalez, who's the Republican former football player who had the guts to vote to impeach Trump. Okay. And Trump then threatened a primary opponent against him, which was this guy, Max Miller. Okay. And Gonzalez dropped out, probably seeing the writing on the wall that he was gonna lose. So this guy, Max Miller, who's the supposedly big MAGA guy and all this, he's married already to Marina's daughter. Okay. Well, what's happened is apparently he likes to hit women, because basically she's accused him of all kinds of abuse and that kind of thing. So that's just the backstory.
Yeah, but isn't he a state rep?
Yeah, no, he's a congressman.
I thought he was.
I'm sorry if I said that. Yeah, he took the congressional seat that Anthony.
Okay, I get it. Yeah, congressman. Yeah. So people are saying, like, look, you got all this smoke for Dr. Fauci, but you've yet to say anything about what's happening with your daughter. Where's the outrage for that? That's just something people are saying.
Yeah.
Little sidebar online. Check this out.
And then go ahead.
One of you doting on a guy who was more interested in being a celebrity than saving American people. There was a mom
Does
in
he not
Ohio.
know who the current president is? More concerned about being a celebrity than helping the people. I mean, some could say that you can make that accusation on the man who's sitting in the White House, but I digress. Check this out.
During the depth of the coronavirus pandemic.
You can't even get it out.
Notice how many times he
decided
blinked.
to go to our high school football.
Let's just stop it. He can't even get it out. Complete waste of time. We got all these issues in Ohio. We dealing with. Surging energy prices, surging gas prices, surging grocery prices, surging housing prices. But this is what Bernie Moreno has smoke for.
COVID's not one of them.
COVID is over with, but this is what you got smoke for. People in Ohio are suffering with a capital S, but this is what you got smoke for. Okay. All right. I mean, hey, he's a senator. I guess he'll figure it all out. It just seems like maybe we could have that energy for somebody else. Megyn Kelly said that Dr. Fauci killed more people, unalive more people than Epstein. That's what she said.
Did she say killed?
Well,
I think she said harmed.
Harmed. She said harmed. Thank you for the correction. Harmed.
That's subjective. That's extremely subjective.
Subjective. Okay.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. I mean, I think, first of all, to try to put COVID or the response or anything on one individual is ridiculous. And I would even extend that, to some degree, Donald Trump. Now, to what degree of culpability, there can be different degrees there. But to my knowledge, I mean, look, they're trying to pin the creation of COVID-19 on Dr. Fauci and all of these other conspiracy things that have not a single shred of evidence to support it, right? I would dare say that Donald Trump's decisions or lack of urgency in terms of handling it and calling it a hoax did far more harm than at least that's provable. At least we know that what they're trying to allege of Dr. Fauci, there's no evidence or no proof to support that he had anything to do with the creation or proliferation of this. And so I think it's ridiculous. That's a ridiculous statement to even make. Look, what Jeffrey Epstein did, his actions and his decisions had a direct effect on the people who were affected in that situation.
Which were very few. Kevin, that's ridiculous. Fauci, the COVID affected the entire United States of America.
So, Terrence, you're saying
created
Fauci. I didn't say he created it.
What did Fauci do? Terrence, wait a minute. Terrence.
He tried to save people.
What exactly did Dr. Fauci do? What exactly did he do?
He created a divide in our country by pushing a vaccine that nobody knew what was going on. He created a divide, and he gave the Democratic Party and Democratic people the ability to discriminate, to make people vilify, to make people feel bad about themselves.
Can you answer Kevin's question?
I just did. I just answered his question. I just answered the question. I didn't say he created it. I said he harmed more people than Epstein. He harmed Epstein. Doesn't affect me. Does Epstein affect you? Does Epstein affect you? Did Epstein affect you? No. Epstein affect you more than COVID. Epstein affects you more than COVID-19. That's a comparison. That's a comparison.
No, what's embarrassing is your takes. Your takes are what's embarrassing.
The comparison.
That's what's embarrassing is your nonsensical take that I'm trying to save you from, brother, because
Fauci and Epstein.
You're trafficking in the same nonsense in the political theater.
Fauci and Epstein. That is two
different things. It don't matter how much
COVID
and Epstein. It ain't gonna make you no more right. It ain't gonna make you no more right.
Because you're sitting amongst a group of Democrats who are going to agree with you.
How am I sitting amongst a group of Democrats when 3 Republicans is on the podcast? You got 3 Republicans on the podcast, and I'm sitting amongst a group of Democrats.
Phil don't count.
See, this is the type of stuff. This is the logic that Terry's bringing to the table.
Phil don't count.
I have never been so insulted. I can't even talk.
You said Phil don't count.
Phil don't count.
Go ahead, Kevin. Continue.
I mean, Terrence can't point to a single action.
People have been telling me, Terrence. People have been telling me that all my life, and now that you've said it, I'm gonna have to go back with a therapist for a couple months after hearing this.
So Terrence said, Dr. Fauci, the harm he created was by telling people to take the vaccine. That's what you're going with. So if that's what you're going with, Terrence, how many people exactly were harmed by the COVID vaccine? What stat you got?
See,
in what manner?
You didn't hear me out. Let me get it out.
And by exactly what manner were they harmed?
Let me tell you. He villainized. He gave the Democratic Party the ability to villainize, harm.
No. Terrence,
how are people harmed by the vaccine?
I'm telling the truth. I can't even get this. I can't even give it. I can't for your actions, and that's what Democrats do. That's what you Democrats do. That's what you Democrats do. You throw the rock and hide your hand. You throw your rocks and hide your hand.
Your argument is you're blaming Dr. Fauci for political points that Democratic politicians
not just
said.
Democratic politicians. Every day.
So you're actually blaming Dr. Fauci for something somebody else did for what the Democratic Party did?
People didn't go to people's family members' house if they weren't vaccinated. They wouldn't go do this if they weren't vaccinated. That you couldn't, you weren't allowed. You would villainize someone else if they weren't vaccinated, and you come to find out.
Fault.
No,
I've never heard Dr. Fauci villainize anybody.
Never mind.
You're trying to.
Never mind. Never mind. If y'all gonna throw rocks and hide your hand,
y'all
that's
cool.
I thought there was gonna be some kind of. I thought y'all gonna be some kind of accountability. Some kind of accountability. There's no accountability on the Democratic side.
Democrat? Is Dr. Fauci a Democrat terrorist?
I'm not sure what he was, but I know that he was used. He was propped up just like the Black Lives Matter, just like everything else during that Democratic Party push to get Joe Biden elected. It was all. And I'm not saying that they cheated. I'm not saying that he cheated. I'm not saying that he cheated.
Not a Democrat. Okay.
Oh.
I didn't say that he was a Democrat or Republican. I said,
well, you're pretty much associating him.
You asked me a question. You asked me a question. How did he harm people? And instead of you guys listening to what I'm saying, you cut me off in the middle.
I haven't heard him.
I haven't been able to.
I have been listening. I haven't said a word.
Do you know anyone? Do you know someone who would not go and associate with someone who was unvaccinated because they were vaccinated?
What that got to do with Fauci?
But what does that have to do with
medical
Kevin's point?
Never mind.
That's for medical reasons.
Medical reasons that have been debunked. They are.
Do you know anyone that died?
No.
Yeah, I know. I lost three of my dearest. I lost three of my dearest friends to COVID-19. Three of my dearest. I didn't say COVID. I never said COVID was hoax. You're putting words in my mouth, and you're not listening.
It's a problem to protect yourself.
I never said that.
I never said to protect yourself. That's kind of contradiction in terms.
You guys can gaslight me all you want to. I said what I said.
From a deadly disease.
You can gaslight me all you want to.
I think Brian has a point.
I said what I said. I said.
Terrence.
I said. Do you answer this question? Do you or anybody you know vilify or denounce someone that did not take the vaccine?
I wouldn't say the word villainize.
Or say I'm not going to be around that person. He can't come to my family. He can't hold my baby.
Medical decision.
Terrence, Brian was correct. Kevin and Brian have tried to tell you, my friend, that I think you're kind of looking at that wrong. I didn't villainize anybody. It's about health. Like if I know you're unvaccinated and I don't want to get something that might take my life, I'm gonna stay away from you. It ain't personal.
Can I throw something in here?
Personal.
Can I throw something in
here?
Sure. Have you guys ever seen, I'm sure you have, the pictures and the story about how polio, which was a terrible disease.
Mitch McConnell is going through right now.
Finally, Dr. Salk, who invented it, and there was Saban who got the oral one here. Okay, did you ever see those pictures of kids in school? Every one of them lining up to get a polio
Mitch
shot.
McConnell included.
Can you imagine? Excuse me. Can you imagine if somebody at that time had said, "This is outrageous. This is a dictatorship. How dare you tell my kids to take that shot?" Well, guess what?
They did.
If a kid who's unvaccinated goes to school or in a crowd, they are a public health risk to other people. And this whole thing about, I've got a lot of friends who think this is a big freedom issue, not to get vaccinated. I mean, I have close friends
that harms people
for political reasons. I have close friends for political reasons who wouldn't get vaccinated. And guess what? Most of them got pretty damn sick. So this whole business about taking shots is some kind of infringement on freedom is pure bull.
It's pure bull and it's getting people killed. There's an organization, a media organization called Fast Company, and they got an article they put out. It was early this year, And the title is Conservatives Are Dying at Higher Rates Than Liberals. A new study points to mistrust in medicine. So a lot of these conservatives, like to the point you just made, Phil, they don't believe in it anymore. So they're not getting vaccinated. Their kids aren't getting vaccinated. And all kinds of stuff is taking them out of this world. So, hey, it's truly Darwinism. If you don't want to take it, I would highly recommend you do that. But if you want to put your life on the line and you want to play that little game, you have every right to do that. I don't think you should be able to make your children do that. But hey, that's the way this country is set up. So if you want to go down that route, you don't believe in vaccines, then don't do it.
Yeah,
just
I
that
agree
simple.
with that.
Do you?
I agree with that today, and I agree with that during COVID. Here's what I agree with. An individual has the absolute right to decide what they want and what they do and don't want to put inside their body. I would never want the government to have to dictate to me that I had to take something that I didn't want, that I personally didn't believe in or didn't want to take. I don't believe.
What if you work in a government?
Wait a minute, Phil. Let me complete
Right.
my point. You have the right to make that decision about your body. Now, what you don't have the right to is what society, business, or whatever decides are the rules for vaccinated or unvaccinated people. So if I don't want to take the vaccine, then I can't be mad when people who are concerned about their health and who have taken the vaccine says, I don't want unvaccinated people in my workplace, in my space, in my school, where I'm at. We all have choices to make choices about what we want, but we have to face the consequences of those choices. So that is where I'm like, okay, people have the right to set rules and regulations for what is good for the greater good of the society. That's not forcing you to take the vaccination, but if you choose not to take it, then you know that's going to shut you out of some certain things. And so you go into that knowing that. That's where I had the problem, was where people who didn't want to take the vaccine, fine. I'm like, Nathan, if you want to roll the dice, if you want to play that game, don't do it. But you're not allowed to put at risk the lives of other people because of your personal decision. So live with it. Don't cry about, oh, I ain't got no customers who don't want to come to my barbershop because I'm not vaccinated. That's your choice, bruh. You could have, just like it's my choice to patronize your business.
Right.
That's like I'm not going into a restaurant that got roaches. If I know it, if I know your restaurant got roaches, get rid of the roaches. Get rid of the roaches, and maybe I might eat there. But don't be like, oh man, because I got roaches, don't nobody want to eat here. It don't work like that.
I gotta give a shout out to all my clients that stuck with me during the pandemic. That was really for holding me down.
Oh, yeah, that was love.
Did you get vaccinated, Terrace?
I did get vaccinated. I got vaccinated because in order for me to go watch my son's sporting events, I had to be vaccinated. So I went.
Good.
I made the choice. I got vaccinated. But the pressure was on. But the pressure was on.
Anyone here that didn't get vaccinated? We've all been vaccinated.
I'm a heart patient, so I was at the top of the list. I had to get it.
Okay.
I mean, are you still getting it? Are you still getting it though? Are you going?
I get it every time one comes out. I get it.
I only got one. I only got one shot. I didn't get the other one.
I think I got 3 shots.
And I've never gotten a flu shot.
Man, listen, all this misinformation out there and people leaving jobs because they didn't want to take the vaccine. I respect people that stand on business. But I'm like, this is what you want to stand on this deal? You want to lose your job over because you don't want to take a vaccine? I get it. You know, we all have fear. There's some people have a whole lot of fear about the unknown and vaccines, and rightly so. This country has a history of misusing certain citizens and turning us into guinea pigs. And you know who I'm talking about. So
but it was all
I get it.
I
get it.
But that doesn't take away the fear. That was my argument from the beginning. Whenever this first vaccinations first came out, and I was speaking to a doctor, and he was like asking me my opinion. I said, black people are going to be more leery to take it than most because the Tuskegee and all these things that we've been done. And then he was a Democrat, and he started instantly pushing back and vilifying me. That moment that I stood up again and just was questioning, he asked me my opinion. I gave him a real life opinion about how black people would feel because of the syphilis and Tuskegee and all those things and being vaccinated. I said, it's like, we're going to be leery. And he was like, oh, and then completely switched the flip and made me out to be some MAGA loving, Trump MAGA hating.
But maybe
Which you are. Which you are. You love Daddy Trump. Stop it. Quit fronting.
Yeah, but can we have like just some concern, like the way that they distributed this shot? Like you could get it in the Walmart parking lot, you could get it at Walgreens.
Library.
It was a lot. I mean, it was so, and I don't know if like sometimes because in society we move past things so quickly, like. It was a lot during COVID where people were scared to get their groceries, where we had X's on the floor. Like it was so much misinformation that when you saw a bird, like you were running in the opposite direction. If somebody coughed in a store, I mean, it broke out in fights.
There was no coughing. You couldn't cough.
Like, I mean, there was so much.
You better not cough in the elevator.
A lot of businesses shut down because of COVID, because they couldn't come back from that, where people didn't want to go to work, or if you had to take your temperature before you went to get your driver's license. There was so many things, but the biggest thing,
it was a smart idea too.
Yeah,
that's subjective. That's extremely subjective.
And we have to give the Trump administration a little bit of credit.
Can I say this though?
We dare to disagree.
And I said this at the beginning when we were in the pre-show. Can we all just acknowledge this? Is that, and I think we all do like a lot of Monday morning quarterbacking, particularly on COVID. It's easy to sit here 4 or 5 years after the fact and look back and make judgments on decisions and things that were made in the moment. But you got to go back to when this pandemic broke out. People were scared. They were dying. They were dropping like flies, and it was spreading like wildfire. I don't know if you remember where you were at. Like, people conveniently forget. It's like January 6th. Like, people forget when you get away from that, what you actually experienced and what you saw on that day and what you thought. And the farther you get away from it, the more you remix in your mind what it actually was. But take yourself back to that time when you were locked in your house, scared to come outside, scared to get groceries. First of all, businesses that were open were losing their shirt because nobody was coming out. Right? People weren't coming out anyway because they were afraid. And so
were they afraid of the military, or were they afraid of getting sick?
They were afraid of getting sick.
Right.
They were afraid of getting sick. They absolutely were. And anybody who says in the beginning that they were not afraid is telling a lie, because we did not know how bad it was. All you knew is that people who were contracting it, that there were a lot of people who were contracting it who were dying and who were getting long COVID and other things like that. And there was so much politicized misinformation because of the president. Because of the president. Let's not forget, he is the one that politicized this thing from the beginning and began spreading the information and talking about it was a hoax. He did that. Had you had a more responsible leader, you would not have had the division that you had at the time when you should have had it the least. And Dr. Fauci and all of these people who were in the scientific realm, who were doing what scientists and doctors do. They test, they have hypotheses, they have theories, they get new information, things change. That became politicized. Science and you can't politicize science and medicine, but that's exactly what the politicians did. So every time a doctor or somebody came out and says, hey, we got some new information, we thought this before, now we know this because we have more information, it became a political thing. Like, oh, you said this 2 weeks ago when you knew less 2 weeks ago. Like, that is the type of idiocy that we fell for. The political division that Trump and other people brought to the table on this thing, because a thinking person would say, okay, Dr. Amy Acton said, these are the projections of the infections. If we do nothing, right?
And she was right.
Nothing, this is what's going to happen.
Keep that up.
If we distance, if we mask, if we do these things, we can reduce that. So when we did those things, and then not as many people died as were in her projections, they're like, boy, Amy Acton had it wrong. She said what she said was actually true. Because of the measures we took, not as many people got sick, not as many people died. But they used that, they politicized that, they villainized that woman to say, well, her projections were wrong. Well, they weren't. She said this is what happens if we don't do anything. We did something. So those projections never came to pass. And that is the part that I just don't understand. Like, you just can't be in the realm of paying attention to facts and data and really thinking if you can't see that. I don't get that.
Have we exhausted this topic yet?
Yeah, we're moving on. We'll talk about Amy Acton's first campaign ad. I'll play it for you. Tell me your gut reaction. But we got is it Bayo Wolf? What's up, Bayo Wolf?
Hey, how you doing? Greetings to everyone on the panel.
What's up, man?
I just want to rewind back to your the school debate. That success for what is it called?
Success sequence.
Yeah, the success sequence. I thought your take on it was horrible. You, Nathan Ivey. That is is essentially an extension of social studies.
Okay.
The social studies. The American culture. How to be successful within the American culture, just like they would teach you how to be successful in the Spanish culture if you were doing something about Europe or South America, or the Russian culture. You were doing something about Europe or whatever.
Right.
Too many of our kids don't know this, and it needs to be taught as a within school because their parents don't know it to teach it to them.
Really?
You ever been in one of those schools where eight out of the 9 kids? 8 out of 9, 8 or 9 out of 10 kids only see their dad on Wednesdays and every other weekend, if at all.
No, I've worked in a school, Cincinnati Public School, where they had a high percentage of IEPs.
Oh
So that population.
You were out there,
very
I guarantee you, a lot of those kids that with IEPs were among those kids that I'm talking about.
Really?
Maybe not. Too many of our kids go to school wondering why they would, and are taught why that they're already behind the 8 ball, being black or low SES kids. So this success sequence is very necessary to be taught. Maybe as an elective, doesn't have to be. It probably should be a core requirement.
Really?
But it at least should be an elective. I'm totally with that.
Okay. You know what? Somebody made the point about financial literacy. I think it was Phil. And I'm with that.
Yeah.
I think if we want to add that to the success sequence and start teaching young people about how to invest in real estate, stocks and bonds, financial literacy, and then state politicians are going to pay for it. They're going to pay for it. Okay, cool. I love that idea. But all this other stuff about telling people how to get married, that's all hogwash and, somebody's weird view of how they want the world to work. The first person you should marry is yourself, period. Any sequence that don't teach you that ain't worth the sequence itself. But I appreciate this. I appreciate the pushback on it, though.
It doesn't need to tell you to get married. Just this is what you might not want to do. Go out here, have kids before you're ready, before you're financially stable and whatnot, because you'll always be behind the 8 ball unless you win the lottery or meet a jock. So it's very. I think it's very necessary. Me personally.
Necessary. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And you think it'll have an impact? It'll counteract, I guess, the music and the culture and all that kind of stuff if they teach that in school.
Yes, because somebody mentioned that in the comments about rap music.
Let me ask you a question, though, Fame. Did you ever have take health in class?
I did.
And did they teach you about how to use condoms?
Yes.
Did you always use a condom throughout your
life?
Did
I what?
Have you always used a condom during intercourse in your life?
Damn, that's intrusive.
It is, but it's to the point, though. It's to my point,
though. It's a trap.
It's to my point.
Don't take the cheese.
What? I mean, what's to your point?
What I'm saying is I'm trying to get at this notion that just because they teach you something in school that you necessarily are going to follow that. Like you said, when you was in health class, they taught you to always use a condom. It was the safest way. Have you always done that? Yes or no?
No, they taught abstinence was the safest way. I don't know what class you went through.
Have you abstained throughout your life?
No, of course not.
It didn't work, huh? So it didn't work, huh? So it didn't work,
no, it
did it?
Not everything that you taught in school was retained. But
Oh, really?
But, however, at least they taught it to you.
Really?
So you have no excuses.
They
taught it to you. Financial literacy has been one of the things that
you didn't do it though. They taught you and you didn't do it.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff that was taught to me that I didn't do. That don't mean that it has a direct effect on my life, like the success thing will.
It means it doesn't really matter whether you teach it in school or not. That's what it means.
It does matter. It does matter, Nathan. And
Really?
here's what
How so?
here's what it is. And I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying, that everything that we're taught, whether that's in school or at home, it doesn't mean that we're always going to do that, but at least you have the knowledge. So here's what I always say is if you got the knowledge and you choose to go a different direction, then what you're not allowed to do is cry about the results. So if somebody has told me and has educated me, if you go this way, this could happen, and if you go that way, that could happen, and I make the decision to go that way with the knowledge, then what I'm not allowed to do when the consequences hit of going that way is cry about it or blame the white man or blame somebody else. It's because I knew going that way could potentially result in that, and I chose to go that way. So there's one thing in making decisions with good. This was my point in the beginning. It's one thing to make decisions with good information in your head, and another thing to make decisions absent information. So if nobody had ever spoken to you about condoms and you didn't know that they were out there and that was an option available to you, and you was just going out there doing that stuff, and you later found out, oh, I didn't know there was these things called condoms. If so, I might have made the choice to use that. But if I know that condoms out there and I didn't choose to use it, and I get a disease and I get pregnant, then what I can't do is cry about that.
Well, I think as a
I
part
find
of
it to
the
be
success
shameful
sequence,
that
we
5
should
grown
start to
men are
teach-
talking about condoms around this woman.
Okay, I think as a part of the success sequence, this is my personal success sequence. I want men to learn how to match the color of their belt perfectly with the color of their shoes. Because I see too many dudes out there running around with black shoes and brown belt. I think it's ridiculous. It should be a part of the success sequence. I mean, it's as arbitrary and ridiculous as that.
But
The number
it's not
one
arbitrary.
thing that you need to be teaching
It's
young
American
people,
culture and
the
value.
number one thing that we need to be teaching young people today, in my humble opinion, is emotional maturity, because you got a whole lot of immature adults. You got a whole lot of 40, 50, 6-year-olds that run around acting like children. Emotional maturity, how to deal with conflict, and loving yourself first.
Yeah.
God made you. You are God's temple. Love God's temple.
I agree with
Love
Nathan.
you. Love you first. And then maybe you might be in a position to find somebody to fall in love with. That's why these marriages and relationships keeps ending, because people are rushing into them thinking it's going to be some kind of anecdote to everything. And what they realize is that they haven't done the personal growth inside themselves before they can call themselves somebody else's partner. The success sequence is
It might not be an anecdote.
It's out of order.
It might not be
an
anecdote.
Out of order.
I'm sorry.
It
might not be an antidote. It might not be an antidote, but it is preventative maintenance, if you will. But let me just say this, because before I get off of here, when Kevin was just rapping, that last little part right there when he was rhyming, that reminded me of Tracy Hunter. That's exactly what she tried to do. Blaine already knew the knowledge, and then tried to back away from what she already knew to what she's doing now. You knew them people were like that. Why did you get involved with them like that? That's exactly what Kevin. That's kind of what Kevin. It made me think of that when he was talking about that. It made me think of her situation, like that type of thing. But hey, it's always a pleasure, guys. Hope you have a good what do you call that? Hiatus. I hope you have a great hiatus. I'll be looking for the next season. I'll be there as always.
Right.
Oh!
Yeah, he reminded me today is the final episode of the season 3, so we will be stepping away for about 3.5, 4 weeks. But keep your eyes on our Facebook channel. We'll be doing some fun stuff.
Hey, Nathan, have you now explained about the new format?
The new format, no.
Well, I thought you guys said you were going to change the title from Hot Mic to the Phil Hines.
Oh, we were just joking about that.
He wishes. That's some real
because I was very humbled by that, and I told you, because of how I respect you guys, I was going to have some small type at the bottom, co-starring, Terrace Horton, Kevin Aldridge, So I'm a humble person, but I want to thank you for kind of recognizing me that way. I was quite humbled by it.
Have no problem. Have you guys seen Amy Acton's new ad? Speaking to the audience, even you guys.
Can I say one thing before we go to
sure,
ad?
jump right in.
So just telling people to go to school, get a job, and get married. Like, do we have some empirical data that says telling them to do that is going to have a positive result? Or
no,
just telling people.
No, we
I know
don't.
we got some data showing the other way. I know we got data showing what
just
the other
no.
way.
Hold on.
Nancy Reagan told people to just say no.
It's actually, hold on. It's
weed
actually
smoking exploded and got
Let them
much
finish
bigger.
and then you get in, Rosemary.
The negative, I don't know. Just people told me all kinds of things all of my life. It had the opposite effect. When someone in authority is trying to tell me to do something, I'm probably going to want to go do the opposite thing.
But that sounds like, I don't know. I mean, I disagree with that, Brian. I mean, I think everybody is different. And this is why I say, like, we're trying to, and I think a lot of people are talking from their own personal experiences, because I could say my life is the exact opposite of what Brian said. I tended to listen to
everything,
my parents and my elders and people who tried to pass advice. Does that mean I liked everything that they said? No, but I did listen. And in fact, a lot of the lessons that they taught didn't take root immediately. They were seeds that were planted that came back up later in life, where I recall lessons that I taught. So I don't understand why we're so resistant. Like, this is part of what I think is the problem here of the politicization of everything that we do, where and the dismissal of common sense. It's like where we argue against things that are positive for no good reason. Like, what is wrong with having conversations with kids about?
It's not realistic.
I've never been married. I've never had a job. I'm very successful.
Whoa! How do you do that?
Thank you. Speak on it, Brian.
Getting a job is the way into poverty. That's how you become in poverty. Working for the man, slaving for somebody else's wealth. That's how you become in poverty.
Yeah, okay, but
Think
Brian,
about all these people.
Get a job.
That's that nonsensical. That is that nonsensical progressive. I have to say that's that.
Let Kevin get in.
That's how that you make
more
money.
Progressive mindset that doesn't help.
We can't hear him though, Kevin. Let him finish and then go Kevin and go to Rosemary.
Unmarried, never been married, don't have a job, never have one, don't want one. I own a business. That's not a job. Telling me to go get, it says right in there, full-time employment. It says go get a job.
You know what, Brian?
That's what it says. Read it.
Problem
Read it.
is, and this is the problem with a lot of progressive thought like that. What progressives like, some progressives like to do, like what Brian does. And this is where I said statistics need to be brought in, because Black people do this a lot. And a lot of progressives do this, is they want to take the exceptional ones who turn out good. Brian, you are a statistical anomaly, not the norm.
Unicorn.
And this is what we need to start teaching. And this is where progressives come and argue from. They argue from the point of their experience of them being the one of a small group of people who get out, and then look at everybody else, the larger percentage of people who get left behind, and then they want to blame it on other things. Look, the reality is the percentage of people who own their own businesses and who are able to make those businesses run, to sit there and say that getting a job is your road to poverty, that is the most ignorant thing I've ever heard in my life.
Brian is right.
Destructive message that you can tell, because the majority of people have to enter the workforce in order to make money. What?
I want to say, I just read, somebody just posted an article that said having kids actually leads you to poverty. And I won't necessarily disagree with that, because kids are a major cost on people's lives. Like, I get
so the world should cease to
I work with teen parents, but I get so many calls on a daily basis from women that have went to college, they did all the things. They are single mothers in their 40s and they need assistance. So I do believe that kids are a weight that we don't factor and economically, especially as women, because it's like, I want a baby, I want to be a mother, but we really don't factor in a box of diapers is $50. The child care is $2,000 a month. But so really, it's not a job that walks you into poverty. It's really having children. And so we do need to look at this from an economic standpoint. One of the other things that I wanted to really just talk about, because I missed it last week, where we are changing a lot of things that have been taught within the school systems and within the population, because the federal government just alleviated teen pregnancy prevention programming and funding. So we alleviated that. We're putting baby Olivia videos in the schools in the 3rd grade. We're going back to abstinence only programming. We're putting in the success sequence, and we're advocating for Constitution to be taught in the classrooms. Back when I grew up, I learned about the American dream, but the American dream didn't explain to me this is what it means economically to budget your money, invest, generational impact, all of these things. So I think that it missed something when it said get married, 2.5 kids, white picket fence. We do not teach that anymore. We are a nation running on feelings and emotions, like Brian, and saying you're successful if you feel that way. I got a 25 son that he was raised in the same house as my daughter, and neither one of my children have children, because I did teach them, marry before you carry. Don't put a baby in some woman that you can't financially take care of. So again, but those are things that I taught. I didn't necessarily call it the success sequence, but I did understand that if you go this way, then you don't have to struggle necessarily like I did for the first years of my children's life. And so I don't think that there's anything wrong with offering an opportunity for these kids to say, it's okay to get married in this day and age. Don't be scared of divorce. Don't be scared of love. But to sit there and teach somebody to love yourself, the problem is people don't know what that means, because we're leaning on feelings of happiness, and we're leaning on the wrong things. And we need to understand that happiness is only a moment. And so when you're saying love yourself, who's defining what that means, and who's
Jesus? Jesus said it.
Don't believe in God in this generation. So they don't believe in God. They believe in whatever they believe in, because again, those are your freedoms to pursue in your happiness. So again, we need to look into, again, more options and alternatives for people to be able to find their way and make those decisions to love themselves.
Mitch McConnell just got more paid time off than American women do to nurse their pregnancies. He got more time off paid than we give in our country to women who are nursing children, but we want to teach them to get married and have kids. Please, to Brian's point, if you change the conditions, people will get married and have kids if they can afford it. A lot of people can't afford it because Terrace and Rosemary decided to vote for a guy who increased our grocery prices.
I never said who I voted for. Thank you very much.
I could be dead wrong,
but I won't tell my vote because I have a right to price.
Well, until you tell your vote.
That's right.
Rosemary and Terrace decided to vote for someone that increased the price of everything while your wages are stagnant. So what are we talking about here? If you want people to have families, they've got to have enough money to raise a family comfortably.
Okay, Nate, let me ask you this.
But if you have a baby early on, you can't afford college.
Yeah, let me ask you this.
Sorry, what was that again?
You just made a great point. People have to be able to afford to have kids and live comfortably. Okay, what allows you to raise a family more comfortably than when you have two incomes, a mother and a father, dual incomes, raising their families? You know the answer to that because you got that. The fact of the reality is that it's easier to raise children, particularly if you're going to have more than one, when you have a two-income household versus a one-income household, which is why waiting until you're married to have children has a whole lot of benefits aside from just financial. Look, let's not be real about the trauma and damage that are being done to a whole lot of kids because of mama and daddy issues. People who have kids at a young age, the man say the mama is keeping him away from his kids. He absent. The woman saying he ain't showing up for his kids. He's an absentee father. Meanwhile, you got these young men and women out here wondering why they ain't getting the love at home that they want. So a lot of them are out in the streets making bad choices and doing good things. Look, we can play around and we can have these philosophical conversations if we want, because we don't, and I'm not dissing anybody who's been a single mother or whatever, but there is just the reality that some things work better the way God intended for them to work.
Oh Lord.
And here is the reality. I don't know how anybody who professes and claims to believe in God can sit there and say that you don't believe in marriage, because God talks about that. God talks about not fornicating. God talks about not having kids out of wedlock. So you can't be a Christian and sit up here and argue against, these things that God says are the way that we should be living, because our politics don't match up with it. That's the problem.
God said abide in love.
Too many people are being led by their politics versus their spirituality. Now, I say that as a pastor. People always want you to lead with, are you a black man first? Are you this first? Are you that? I'm a child of God first.
A child of God first, right? And
live my life according to that. Me being black and my politics got to take a back seat to that. And now, am I perfect in that in all ways? Absolutely not. But I do try to live that way. So I have a hard time when we want to throw out God, but then we want to encourage people to do non-godly things, to live non-godly lives, and say that that's okay, and there's something wrong with that messaging.
Did Paul marry?
Well,
was Paul married? Was Peter married?
Was Paul married? Was Peter?
Oh. All the
okay. Hey, Nathan, if you feel that way, Nathan, won't you? When people,
let's hear from Brian real quick. Brian was on the road here, and then we'll come to Terrence. Go right here, Brian.
The 12 disciples, did any of them marry? Mary Magdalene, Jesus himself, was Jesus married?
We don't know.
Success. Well,
okay. Whenever I get there, hold on. Let me.
You want to know what the Bible says about that? You want to know what the Bible says about that, Brian?
Did those people marry?
The Bible actually does say that one is better off being alone, right? It does say that, but if you got to be with women,
better marry than to burn.
Then it is better for you to marry, right? Because God talks about us all the time about the attachments keep us from having the kind of relationship with him that we need to have. So, but he also understands that it's human nature for us to.
Well, then if you're teaching the Bible, you're teaching people to be single.
Why he ordained marriage.
It also says when a man finds a wife, he finds a good thing. So.
That's right.
Old Testament,
and so that means something. So the other thing that I want to say is this, because we moving on to the tent. I watched her ad, and she talked about how she was sleeping in a tent when she was young. Based on what you're saying, Nathan Ivy, if she added a baby into that structure of the tent, she wouldn't be able to be where she is today. Based off of what you're saying, if she was loving herself, loving her baby, it would have been extra hard. So I wonder if a baby would have been added into her story of sleeping in a tent, working 2 and 3 jobs, and caring for a child, will we have a Dr. Acton, and will we have been dealing with COVID? So again, there's something to be said about that strategy, because she had to make a choice and not for having a family before she reached her career goals, etc., etc. So that's it.
You're on mute, Nathan. Nathan, you're on mute.
Jesus was born to a single mother, and he became the internal, and he became the
Let's watch the ad. Let's watch the ad.
Mary was married.
They weren't married.
The internal example.
Mary didn't have a husband. Mary didn't have a husband. Mary didn't have a husband.
I don't think they were married.
But ultimately, again, this is an economic thing, because we have like Brian said earlier, we have more than 50% of people that are having unplanned pregnancies and babies, and society is holding that up. So there has to be something else that can be done, and this is one additional preventative measure to be able to put into place to educate kids at an earlier age. So I stand on that.
Well, why don't we
watch the ad?
One second about the.
I'm just having fun with Dina.
Why don't we teach, institutional racism, as the primary cause?
You talk more about black people than we talk about.
I know. We already know this.
I told you that.
We know this already. That's what I was trying to say.
Poverty is
Kelly.
Black people have 11% of the wealth of white people is institutional racism. They're born into the pond. Teach people about the pond, and teach people how to fight the people poisoning the pond, and to make the pond clean, and that will not only affect these children it will affect their children's children and for every generation to come. That's how we're supposed to think about things for the next 7 generations. So why don't we teach that in school?
Thou shalt not envy thy neighbor's stuff. Can we move on about
Amy
the
Acton,
tent?
Amy Acton. I want to see what.
All right, let me play this Amy Acton video for you. This is her first ad, and that was a fun conversation.
It's a good ad.
And I want to get your thoughts. What's your initial thoughts to this ad? Of course, she's in this heated battle with Vivek Ramaswamy. He's got a lot of negative attack ads out about her. Give me your gut after I play this for you. Check this out.
I think it was somewhere off Route 7. I was 12 and we were living in a tent, but it made me tough and determined to find a way out. I waited tables, delivered newspapers, anything to put myself through college and medical school. I don't want anyone to have to struggle like I did. As governor, I'll take on the corruption that's raising our costs and fight for an Ohio where your hard work pays off and you always come first.
Okay, she's saying you're gonna come first, and she came from humble beginnings. What do you think? Is that a good ad? That's what we're expecting in this heated battle with Vivek Ramaswamy?
She's not a billionaire.
I just hope that the Democratic Party in this election don't walk in this election like you did with the Kamala and the Trump last election. Because I can see it happen. I can see it happening. After watching this ad, and it's okay. It's nothing special. But you know what I'm saying? You guys are pondering over it like it's the best thing since sliced bread.
It's very good.
And Brian, I love it, and I hope you stick around because I'm gonna tell you what, she keeps that up. Vivek Ramaswamy, she keeps this up. And she keeps up the whole stuff about the vaccine. Y'all keep with the Fauci stuff with the vaccine, and that's the Democratic Party play that y'all do in this upcoming election with Vivek versus Amy Acton. She's going to get ran. I really thought she was going to win. I was like, okay, Amy Acton
is going to win,
and that's what they said about Kamala too. And she got skull
That's
drug
not
in
what
that
I
last
said.
election.
That's not what I said about Kamala.
Well, I'm just saying, Amy Acton, and I hope, and if she wins or she loses, I have no fight in the game. But I'm just saying, from the outside looking in and watching these elections and watching how Democrats put their candidates up and like, oh, she's unreaching, everything she does is so great. Vivek is going to take that ad, number one, and the whole Fauci, this whole thing, the whole nonchalantness you guys are taking about Fauci. And they're going to use that for the next couple months, and they're going to be like, Amy Acton. Amy Acton was the face of
that was the point.
So that's the point. So we're going to see a divide. We're going to see a divide in Democrats versus Republicans, and it's going to in the.
We already have that.
And the results are going to fall in the middle with the center right leaning people. And in thoughts like yours, Gary, the far left progressive thoughts, that's going to drive Vivek.
Ohio is a place that put in its constitution the right to have an abortion. Did you forget? Ohio is a place that just legalized marijuana.
I'm not sure, but I'm just saying. I'm saying
it will branch to Amy
Acton. If Ohioans approach this election the way that I'm hearing Brian approach this election, which is similar the way that I've seen the Democratic Party approach the Kamala Harris election, Vivek Ramaswamy is going to be your next governor.
No. Kamala Harris, she had issues. That's not what this election is about.
I think the ad is actually a good ad, and I think it's the track that she should take. She's trying to differentiate herself as someone who had to work and scrape and get everything that she had, which is the more common story of Ohioans than a billionaire like Vivek Ramaswamy. I think that's exactly what that message is trying to convey, is that Amy Acton is more of an every person compared to this aloof billionaire who travels to Paris on Independence Day rather than staying in Ohio. And I think that's a smart strategy. She has to lean into working class folks in Ohio. Like, that needs to be her message, and trying to say, I'm more like you than this guy who's got all of these crazy ideas and plans that are going to result in you losing jobs and all of these other things. Like, that's her route. That's her route to winning. I mean, she's already got, the polls are already tight. There's going to be this blue wave of resistance that, Trump is trying everything in his power to keep against it. And we've talked about, you know, I really do believe that there is going to be a heavy stay-at-home vote on the Republican side because of Ramaswamy's religion.
He's brown.
Not if she starts talking about that. If she dances around with that vaccine and the Fauci stuff and all this stuff right here. That's what the
Republicans are trying to. That's the card the Republicans are trying to play on her. And if it were me, I wouldn't lean into that. But my simple address would be: go see Mike DeWine. Ask him. Ask the most favorable governor in the United States during COVID what he thought about the job that I did. And he's already been on record saying that he thinks she did a fantastic job. And again, I would bring that up. If the Republicans came at me with that, if I was Amy Acton, I would pull up that Mike DeWine during COVID was the most popular governor in the country, right?
And he did a great job.
Donald Trump was getting high marks for the job that he was doing, and he thought I did a great job.
Donald Trump endorsed Thomas Massey, and then he beat Thomas Massey with Ed Gallagher. He beat him. So it doesn't matter what he does with DeWine. DeWine is a non-factor. They're going to be going to Trump and all these people be going to, and you can put that up where you want to. Those are good. Those are going to be the people who are going to be voting. The Conways and all those people. And y'all are looking at in my opinion, the Democratic Party is looking so shallow once again. Oh, that's our girl. That's our girl. We're going to vote blue no matter who. And then the Republicans are sitting back like, oh, he's brown, but that girl sure did. She was with Fauci on that vaccine thing, so we are going to vote against her for
on
that
the right side of history.
Well, the right side of history is going to cost her
an actual
the governorship.
doctor, dude, a doctor.
So I want to say one thing. First, Brian, they didn't change the Constitution. They made an Ohio Revised Code change and an issue on the ballot, so they didn't change the Constitution about marijuana. So just wanted to correct that. And then down with the brown. I've been at these meetings, but Vivek Ramaswamy went to all 55 counties. That man was just out at the Butler County Fair on a Thursday and had a boatload of people come out. Independents, young people. He's showing up at colleges, getting booed. He don't care. He's in those rooms.
Getting booed, exactly.
But guess what? But the thing is, he's willing to walk in those rooms, and that's what makes him a leader. I think that.
Are you serious, Nary?
Yes, it does. Because at the end of the yes, I do believe that that's what makes him a leader. Okay. First off, there's one thing far greater than discrimination, and that's sexism by men. There has never been a woman governor ever in history. There was never a woman voted for Congress in the first district either. So sexism is far greater, and that's
Kansas. Kansas had. You said there's never been a Republican.
Yeah, Kathleen Sebelius.
In Ohio.
Oh, I know.
That's what they do, Rosemary. You gotta be extremely specific with them, or they're gonna run with whatever you say.
Hold on. But what I also want to say is this: in the Vivek Ramaswamy's ads, and I have to be honest, he is making her look incompetent and weak. And it did not help that they are still using the fact that she got stressed out, took some pills, and was drinking liquor. That shows that she is not a capable leader.
And you know what the media does to people personally, right?
You want to talk about respect of our people? Shh, just for a moment. So with that, is showing that she is not capable of leading, because what did she do? She also resigned. She needed to come out in her first ad, like somebody's put, swinging and addressing the elephant in the room. How will you lead? How will you present yourself? Because right now, even as a woman, I wouldn't support her because you don't look strong enough for me, and I don't care what tent you were sleeping in. You know, because when it came down to it, you're not in the forefront coming straight at what they're attacking you on, which is you're not built to be a leader of Ohio and of men.
Have you met her?
Challenging. Yes, I have, and I got a photo with her and Vivek.
What did you think about her?
I thought she was a liar because she made promises to support teen parents and come to even my facility, never answered the call, never her people didn't even answer, never responded, and continued to make false promises. But I've also talked to Vivek and all the other parties too.
Did Vivek come and visit? And help out with money?
Not yet, but he has supported. And
then he didn't do anything different than she did.
And he also supported my campaign when I ran. Checkmate. So, but
so are you mad at Amy Acton because she didn't support your campaign? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying I did talk to Amy Acton and before I ever ran as a CEO of a nonprofit that supports teen parents. I spoke with Amy Acton because again, she is about women's health and maternal health. So I had conversations with her in different rooms. So again, just talking to her unequivocally, she just didn't seem honest. But now looking at who wants to be the next governor, again, I do want to see some thorns out. I do want to see that she's capable of leading because a lot of times they will make women look soft and that they are incapable. And that's what they're doing.
Are you voting, Vivek?
You're doing it too, though. You just did it too to her. You talked about sexism and then you just did that.
Listening to her. They do that all the time.
That's stating facts. That's stating facts.
Wait a minute.
That's not me judging her. That's stating facts of what they're doing.
You're judging her through a...
No, I am not. I'm stating facts of what they're doing.
Here's what I heard. First, you said sexism is the worst ism. And then you turn right around and say that you trust a man when it comes to women's reproductive policy over a woman.
That's not what I said.
That's exactly what you just said.
They will paraphrase and put words in your mouth.
I said that she does not look like a leader.
Based upon what?
Look like she can hold up.
Well, she held up during COVID.
Well, the negative. Look, let's just acknowledge that the negative campaigning does work. We know negative campaigning works. Otherwise, they wouldn't do it. And they have been inundating Ohio with these commercials about Amy Acton and the pills and all of that. And this is the disadvantage that she has. Again, Ramaswamy is a billionaire. He's got a bunch of dark money and other stuff that's coming in from these PACs that are going to overload Ohio with these commercials, which Acton and the Democrats are not going to be able to compete with. I don't care, what they come up with. They're not going to be able to hit the same volume that Ramaswamy is going to do. So that's definitely a hurdle that she has to overcome. And we know that the negative campaigning doesn't always tell 100%.
She's actually beating him in some ways.
That's why I do agree. That's why I do agree. Acton has to do a better job of answering some of those things. She can't ignore.
You just said she can't.
Huh?
You just said basically she's going to be outspent.
I'm just saying.
Hit the ground.
What I'm saying is, there are all sorts of ways that she can answer it, right?
For sure.
She could answer it in one campaign ad, right? It doesn't necessarily need. She doesn't necessarily need to have the same number of campaign ads to get the counter message out there. But she does.
But she's outraised them in some ways. Some months, I think, for the past several months.
She can outraise them all she wants to. But in the last 2 months, in October and November, when they spend a gajillion dollars if they want to,
I think
for the negative ads,
his money early on.
You think he's out? You think he's out, Brian? You think he's out of money?
He's got $5 million from Elon.
You think? I mean, you think that? Man, come on, man. They're going to spend so much money. With Amy Acton, her approach, and I'm just saying hers. People like. I'm singling you out, Brian, because you're the most visible person in the room who acts like Democrats usually act at this moment. Is I would change my approach. I would be like, you know what? I would be humble. I'd be like, Amy, sweetheart, that ad was a little weak. Not, oh, she's the best thing. Vote blue no matter who. Y'all need to start speaking some truth.
I think it is. I think it's a good ad because it touches the heart.
Feelings. It touches feelings. It touches feelings. Okay, he's not relatable, but he's not relatable. He's not relatable. They're going to spend money to make him feel relatable because they're going to dog Amy Acton out. And until you guys
they don't have enough money to make Vivek Ramaswamy look relatable because he's not.
Okay, they're not, but they can make her to be the enemy. They can make her the enemy. They can make her the enemy.
You know why he's not relatable? One, because he's a billionaire, and two, he's entirely too polished. Like there's some guys that you look at and they just too polished, and you know that there's a little bit of sleaze behind them. That is 100%.
Wait a minute, Rosemary, you gonna let that stand?
The other problem that he's got is he is an incredibly smart guy, but he comes off that way. And nobody likes a know-it-all. So he's got a lot of unlikable.
Can you address what I asked about Amy Acton? Can you address what I just said about her? Was I telling the truth? Do the Democratic parties need to take the gloves off and start telling her the truth about what approach she needs to take? Or are you guys going to listen to people like Brian who are going to be like, oh, yeah, this is so good, Amy. Little kumbaya. I believe she's an awesome person.
When you're speaking to her, there is nobody else in the room if there are 100 people in line waiting,
that's not going to get
talk
elected.
to her, but I'm telling you facts.
How does that get her elected?
How
does that get her elected?
I think that authenticity, that people are craving and seeking authenticity because there's so much fakeness, even on our local level, so much fakeness on our city council, so much fakeness in the presidency, so much fakeness everywhere, that human beings can actually sense authenticity. And I believe that they will sense her authenticity
Brian,
from her,
can I ask
as
you
an
this?
example, this
Can I ask you
ad
this?
and other ads. The truth is the truth, and it can stand alone by itself. It's the most powerful force on earth. Go ahead.
That's your perspective. From your perspective, because half of the Ohio are Republicans and disagree with everything you're saying. How are you going to convince them that she's a good person when it comes to pulling that lever to vote for her?
The Sherrod Brown method. The Sherrod Brown method.
So we're going to be back on. We're going to be back on November.
What Sherrod Brown has that is this that won him his senator seat in our state, in our, at that time, red state, now, still red, somewhat purple state, is his authenticity. And she is following that roadmap.
Yeah. I just want to say about Vivek though, like, I mean, because I've met both of them, and like, I do think Amy Acton is authentic too. I mean, because again, she works in that field too. She's a medical doctor, so she has to be able to talk across the line. But I also think that there's these moments where Vivek is on the campaign trail with his kids, and somebody said that he's darker. Yeah, when that man get in the sun, he looked like one of us. So he is going through a lot too. I mean, he looked like one of us, and
what does that mean?
him as black. I'm saying they classifying him as black on the campaign trail. So, but he also shows, he, like Amy Acton, he will stand in the line. He'll meet all the people. He'll talk to people even in the face. So let's not just think he's a billionaire and he's out of touch, because he still had to walk in that skin to get to where he is. And there had to be some difficult situations that he had to walk through, whether he had money or not. We all have to understand. What did you say? Systemic racism. He also is, he's a person of color. So
but
it's
you know
not
what
that
makes
he,
him inauthentic.
you
know what makes him inauthentic in that regard is that he can't talk about it. And that's what makes him inauthentic in that regard. He done skirted all around the surfaces. I mean, like I said, I've seen interviews where he's done. I've seen him on. I keep going back to this Ann Coulter interview where she flat out told him, like, yeah, I think you're smart, I think you're good, but I would never vote for you because you're Indian. Because you're Indian. And this is what I say. Like, I'll give him credit that he has stood up when he's been in these environments and he's been questioning. He has been under fire. I mean, we've seen where he showed up on these town halls and he's had to try to explain himself, which is why I say I am not completely convinced that those folks are going to come out and vote for him, even with Amy Acton. Look, they both got issues that they've got to overcome. And I think primarily she's got to overcome sexism for the same reasons. I just seen somebody in the comments. They were like, well, I don't know that I'm sure Amy Acton can govern, but I like her better than Vivek Ramaswamy. Well,
just look at him.
Wait a minute. But what makes you think Vivek Ramaswamy can govern? He has no track record of governance.
Because he's a man. And he's got a lot of money.
He got bounced from Doge. He couldn't even finish. He got
bounced from Doge. Come on, Kevin. That's so disingenuous. He stepped down from Doge so he could start on his campaign for governor.
Terrence, come on now. You guys are being crazy.
He stepped down from Doge. He stepped down from Doge so he could start his campaign because they're like, okay, because they knew Doge was not going to be.
They said, get out of here.
Yeah,
they kicked him out and go to Ohio and run for governor. That's exactly what they did because he has no track record. He has no more. In fact, I would even say he has less of a track record. I would say Vivek Ramaswamy has far less of a track record of governance that Amy Acton has, because at least Amy Acton has been in government. But this is the thing that women have to overcome. You got a woman who's been in government for X number of years, who ran a department, and you're like, oh, I don't know if she can govern. But you got some man who's a billionaire who ain't never been in charge of nothing. And when he was in charge of the hoax that was Doge, they sent him home. this is what this is the
See
person
how you frame that. How you frame that.
And they're
That's good
questioning
framing,
Amy
Kevin.
Acton's ability to
That's good
govern.
framing. That's
Come
good
on,
framing.
man.
And
That's good
Amy
framing. Good
Acton
framing.
as
Good
the
framing.
director of the Ohio Department of Health. I
Who
can just tell you
who
from
during
people who
COVID dropped
I
the ball?
know
During COVID dropped the
know
ball.
her.
Amy
She
Acton
did not drop
dropped
the ball.
That's
She did
subjective.
not drop the ball.
You're
But
saying that
Sarah,
you're saying Vivek Ramaswamy
keep it
cannot
real,
lead.
bro.
I'm saying
Keep it
Amy
real,
Acton
bro.
dropped the
Keep it
ball.
real, bro. Who's got
respect.
more of a track record of governing? Who's got more of a track record of governing?
Only one.
Neither.
Oh,
Only
whatever,
one.
man. See,
Neither.
Terrence,
The
this is
director
why
of the
you get
Ohio
no
Department
cred.
of Health.
This is why you get no
Neither.
cred.
No,
Because look,
everything I say is very
at
credible.
least I will acknowledge when y'all
You
have
don't
a
acknowledge
point. When y'all have a good point, I'll acknowledge you have a good point.
That's not always true. You don't always acknowledge my good points.
Your argument
Kevin, that is
overall.
not true.
But Terrence,
You do not
can
always
be dead
acknowledge
to
my good
rights, bro.
points.
You can be dead to rights, and you
That's
still
untrue.
just ain't
You
let
do
it
not
go.
always acknowledge my good points, Kevin. I'm not letting you get away
Maybe
with that. You do
sometimes
not.
I get
I just
hey,
told
bro,
you
okay.
no.
Hey man, I said last podcast you had a heart of gold. I said I understand where you coming from. That my cynicism sometimes keeps me from agreeing with you. I acknowledge that.
Kevin, mine is consistent though, because whenever Vivek Ramaswamy left Doge, and I remember on the podcast, we can go back to that time. I said he did not get fired from Doge. I stayed consistent, just like I'm saying now. He left Doge to start his campaign to run for Ohio's governor. That's as simple as plain. When y'all were like, "Oh, he got kicked out," I'm like, what kind of alternative universe do you guys live in to where they're having conversations? Okay, so long term, he's gonna go work at Doge that he knows is temporary, or leave Doge because he knows it's temporary to go start on something that's long term that have a more of a lasting meaning. Because he could have ran for senator, but he decided not to, and to run for governor. You guys don't
think that
understand
happened
the
like
long
that
term.
either.
First of all, Terrence, of all, he was having strategic differences. If you recall, him and Elon Musk were not getting along when Doge. Let me finish.
So why is Elon giving him money?
Let him finish.
Quit being Phil's disciple. Him and Elon Musk were disagreeing over the strategic actions of Doge, mainly because Elon Musk wanted to mine all your private information and use it for SpaceX and all of the other things he was doing. And Vivek might have been trying to tell him, like, hey, dude, that's unethical what you were doing. So you know what? They kicked him out the club because they had strategic differences. So what they allowed him to do to save face was to say, hey, I'm going to leave to pursue the governorship of Ohio. That's exactly what that was. Elon Musk had him removed.
Yeah.
Plain and simple.
Pretty much.
And let's not forget, I think he also made some disparaging comments about, I think maybe it was white immigrants or whatever who was being brought over here that ruffled some folks' feathers in the wrong way. That's another thing Acton needs to bring up, about what Ramaswamy said about that issue. She needs to be using that as well. But those were the reasons he got kicked out of Doge. Okay. The politics was that's kind of the thing they allow you to do to save face when they send you packing. Okay.
Well, that's all I got, guys. I'm not going to hold you. It's a Friday. If there's anything that needs to be talked about, anything that didn't get brought up, or maybe you want to come back to, speak now or forever hold your peace.
Look, I just want to address this whole brown belt with the black shoes thing. Look, I'm gonna need to do a belt check next season when we come back on Hot Mic, because I need to make sure nobody on this podcast is rocking the brown belt with the black shoes.
I got no belt.
Forget what Nathan's saying about not being judged on that. That is that's like having on one brown sock and one black sock. You can't do that. You got to match the belt with the shoe.
Well, you got to bring your belt to the shoes you're about to buy and make sure it matches.
Yeah. Hey, good. Yeah, that's what Vivek said. He said basically that Americans need to step their game up. And that's why you need to bring in immigrants via the HB1 visa. And that's what people were all talking about. I don't know. I mean, should Amy Acton go negative? Is that what you're trying to say, Kevin? She needs to go negative. Does she need to play into whatever the schism is between some Republicans and Vivek, whether it's his race or his religion? Should she play into that and go negative campaigning to win?
Yeah, I don't think she needs to go that low, like to go into the racism and religious elements of that. I would not go there. But I do think Vivek has got plenty of legitimate policy positions and things that she needs to punch harder on. and also defend herself. The reason why I wasn't too down on the first campaign commercial for all the reasons I said and that Brian said. And one, we got to remember this is still a long campaign. Like, this is not the only campaign commercial that she needs to put out. She needs, like, some of her PACs, some of these Democratic PACs need to come out, and those are the ones that, like, that's how all the politicians do it. You know, the PACs come out and
let
do
somebody else do it.
Yeah, you know, she can stay above the fray, but get your PACs out there and have them start hitting. I would stay away from, because if you're going to purport yourself to be somebody who doesn't believe in the culture wars and all that kind of thing, you can't engage in that, whether it's through your PAC or whether it's you directly. And you can't sit up there and condemn Republicans for doing it if you're going to play by that same rule. That's why I said, you know, I would stay away from the race and religion stuff with him. But there's plenty you can go after Vivek Ramaswamy about without touching it.
Wait. Vivek Ramaswamy, if I'm wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't he doing some negative campaigning where he's trying to use her sexual assault against her? Like, that's like the most negative campaigning you can do. So he can do that, and you're telling me she's supposed to just play it nice? That's what you're saying?
I mean, you know, look, to each his own. I don't think Ramaswamy doing that makes him look good. Like, I don't think that reflects positively on him by going with that type of negative campaigning, right? If you want to attack her about how she handled COVID, if you want to attack her about her ability to govern, and I would even say the prescription pills thing, right? That's on the record, but going after like some type of assault type situation, I think there should be certain things that should just be out of bounds politically. That's me.
I don't think any of that's going to play. It's not going to play against her COVID.
What did you say, Rosemary?
I'm yelling at people in the background.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
I just don't think the COVID or the, domestic situation, I don't think that's going to play. It's too old.
That right. He, speaking of Ramaswamy, I think you mean Vivek, basically said Americans are dumb and we all know he's right. LOL. Okay. Man, I hope not. I hope not. We can read books. We can get better. Somebody said they wanted you to do something in season 4, Kevin. Hold on. I just lost it. I had it here for a second. They said you went to the dark side in season 3 and they want you to come back for season 4. Something like that. It's here somewhere. I can't find it right now. But just nothing negative, just some fun stuff. Oh, here it is. Tony writes, I need Kevin to come back from the dark side in season 4. He went way to Anakin on me this season. You went to Anakin, huh? Okay.
Hey, I did it for the same reason Anakin did. I did it for love, Tony. I did it for love.
He did it for love. Brian, what's going on, man? What you got cooking? Anything you want to tell the people about before you roll out?
Trying to leave the world a better place than when I got to it. Me these days, I take care of my 86-year-old mom and my 10-year-old grandson and run my business. We hire people who other people won't give a chance to, mainly. And, we train people in all kinds of things. We build houses.
Can I ask what your business is? Didn't mean to cut you off, but can I ask what your business is?
No, you're fine. Construction. We build houses. We put on solar panels. We do a lot of work, for the federal, state, city, county government in terms of protecting children from lead. So,
What do we need to know?
Lead poisoning
tell us something real quick.
Lead poisoning is permanent. When people don't keep up on their rental properties here in Cincinnati, when they're very old, prior to 1978 built, and some of our places, like my house here where I am now, was built in 1881. So, there's plenty of lead around to poison children, and it's our job to keep them from getting poisoned. Unfortunately, at this moment, and for the past several months, there's been no available help for the children in Cincinnati, because what happens with, for whatever reason, it's not a continual program. It operates for X number of months, and then they don't think ahead to apply for the grant. They talk about helping people. If they really wanted to help people, there wouldn't be these huge breaks. There's been several years, in a row, where they have not had any lead program in the Cincinnati Health Department at all. I'm just, this is just part of what we do. We do environmental work and try to, help our environment, obviously, through energy efficiency, but also, through lead. And we run a halfway house over in North Avondale that houses people who don't have homes and have either, court issues or, addiction issues, all kinds of issues. There's a lot of people out there with a lot of issues. You see them walking around, and they deserve housing. So we help them with that, and we help single moms, who are living on our streets get housing, and that's what I do actually on a day-to-day basis. And I'm the director of Neighborhoods United, and so we do all that, and I don't take a salary for that. I've never made a penny off of helping other people in my advocacy.
All right. Hey, Roseman, what's going on in your world?
What's going on in my world? So I'm having an event Saturday. Excited about that. To fundraising, we had to go back into another capital campaign because of all of the changes and the need.
And you do great work, by the way. Great work.
Thank you so much. We're turning 10 this year, so it's been a lot. It was a process, and it was a heavy lift to open our new building, and so now
that was a major lift.
Yeah, it was a major lift. Still fighting battles behind the scenes because of it, and so
that was sort of a miracle that you got that place. That place was in very serious disrepair. I grew up in Bond Hill, but we moved from Bond Hill to Clinton Springs, so I saw that building over the many years of disrepair.
Yes. Yeah, it lay dormant for about 15 years. We put hundreds of thousands of dollars to renovate, and then we had a snafu with our construction team and had to put additional hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Oh my goodness.
Due to that, and then after that, legal fees. So it's a lot. So I actually transitioned from like a girl with a lot of passion to help teen parents to a CEO, a person about public policy. Those type of things just change you, and I'm glad it changed me in a more positive way to be more outspoken into the needs of the community and teen parents and small businesses in itself. And so we have an event on Saturday. I actually invited Eric Conroy. I was hoping to tell Phil Heimlich he was going to be there. Because again, we're bipartisan, so it's not necessarily that I'm endorsing anybody, but what are you going to do if you get in this seat? I know what Greg's going to do because he is a supporter of our mission. And so, to have that conversation about, especially with them alleviating funding for pregnancy prevention. So we're going to have a conversation around that. The next 10 years for Rosemary's Babies Company. I'm hoping that it outlives me and that we even make it another 10 years. And so
don't hope it, claim it. Make it happen.
Yeah. I'm on hope and prayer.
Is that hard for you? Because being a CEO of a nonprofit, like you said, it don't matter what your political party back, Democrat, Republican, whoever is in office you're willing to work with, but you also ran as a Republican, and those kings cross. Is that difficult now? Like, how are things? Does your running against Greg and running for Congress impact you even as you move forward? How do you negotiate that?
No, actually, because when I first announced, people were like, "Greg's your friend," and so
because I was in that press conference with you and me and him, and I was like, "Whoa, why did she do that?"
Yeah, well, because I thought because I still believe I'm qualified for the job. So let's say that, and there is a job opening, and when a job is open, you apply. And so, and it's not to say that Greg isn't doing a fair job. In this moment, I just felt that I was more qualified to be able to move things forward. And a lot of it was because I knew what was coming down the pipeline, especially as it came to teen parents and small businesses. And so I really wanted to be in the room with people that are Republicans to be able to sway some of the hits, because you need people at those tables that can speak across the line. And I'm proud of myself to be able to talk to anybody, and speak across any table. So yeah, like right now, it really doesn't put any pressure on me because I built my nonprofit on the same morals and policies that I ran on. So they were these conservative policies. So like, when I walked in those rooms, I wasn't like diehard MAGA or any of that stuff. I was just Rosemary, passionate about babies, businesses, and Ohio first. And so when I finished that election, I think that's what people had to see from the shock of, oh my God, she's a Republican, to wait, what is she actually running on? And so I don't think I have too many barriers now. We had more concerns, with the construction issues than it was actually me even running for office. And that's a whole nother gamut that be public sooner than I think, but I'm hoping not. But we're continuing to raise money. We're continuing to serve teen parents.
You seem more like a Democrat to me.
And advocate. No, I'm not a Democrat. I don't think I'm a Democrat. I'm not a MAGA.
Maybe independent.
I would be, if you would say it, I would be a conservative Democrat, but a moderate Republican.
Exactly. So
I lean right, like most people. I'm raised on certain values, but there's certain principles that the Democratic Party I just can't stand with, especially if
Really? Like
I'm
what?
if you can't tell me and define that I'm a woman, then I have a problem with that. So, but again, no, I'm for all my people, but I'm a woman.
Seriously?
Yeah, I'm a woman. And so I
You're a
got
woman.
asked that a lot. I got asked, yeah, that a lot. Especially some of the things that we were educating about in the schools. I just feel like that if I would have came out as a Democrat, y'all would have known that I wasn't that. So I got to run on what I wanted to run on, which was support and legislation for kids and babies. Didn't win the endorsement, but I think that it opened up opportunities for people who think that they're not qualified to run to be able to take that step forward and put their name in the hat. So, but no, I'm not a Democrat.
You know what I think is interesting, and thank both of you for sharing that. And there are a couple of interesting takeaways from that. One, pretty much everybody that we have is part of the crew, part of Hot Mic, and even a lot of folks who are in the chat are all doing things that are trying to make Cincinnati better, right? Whether that's Brian building housing, lead piping, what Rosemary is doing for Rosemary's Babies. I mean, everybody is trying to do something to make the city better. Politics aside, Brian's a Democrat, Rosemary is a Republican. I tend to lean Democratic. We know Nathan. You can espouse what yours is. Terrace is where he is. But what that often says to me is that a lot of times we allow the politics, the party label, to make us forget like who people sometimes really are at their heart, right? And it's like particularly when you get down to the local level and you start boiling it down to people or who you see moving and operating within the city. Like there's a lot of times there's a wide gulf between what you think about Donald Trump and those folks, right? Or what you think about Joe Biden or Kamala Harris and those folks. And so I think, it's important not to lose sight of that, right? Like as much as we argue and debate about the politics, you got to look at what people are doing. You got to look at their heart. That's why I say Terrace and I couldn't be more apart on some of the things that he says. But I know Terrace's heart. I see what he's doing. I know what he's done. And it's like that means more to me than the crazy stuff that he said sometimes on his podcast. And I'm sure he feels the same way about me. And so it's like I think we can sometimes do a better job of trying to sort through that and delineating that and not just always condensing people down to who they voted for or where their political leanings might be. Look at the work. The other thing that I would say is I think what it would be good for our politics is for both parties to actually run on what they believe, right? And stop making this calculation of can I win? Yeah. Like there are plenty of Democrats, myself included, Rosemary, who agree with what you just said. I have a firm belief in my mind about men and women. I get frustrated when Democrats fall over answering that question. right? That's no disrespect to anybody who's transgender. Be who you want to be. Live your life. I'm not saying that you shouldn't do that or you shouldn't be discriminated against. But there's certain things I'm not gonna, me personally, there's certain things I'm not gonna go along with that. Like I'm not gonna say I agree that transgender females should be able to participate in
Oh my
girls' sports.
God. Can we
I'm not
stop with
gonna
this,
agree with that.
please? Can we
No,
stop with this,
I'm
please?
not leading us down that rabbit
Please
hole. I'm
stop.
just saying, for me, and if I
It's sexism.
if I ever had a desire to get into politics, that would not be something that I would compromise saying. Even if I wanted to run as a Democrat, I would still say that. If I didn't win, so be it. But I think that's the problem with our politics today is you got people running on optics and what they don't really believe. And I don't think that's good in order to win. And I don't think that's good for Republicans or Democrats. And I think it really dilutes our ability to have solid,
but it's not just that, though.
truthful, honest conversations.
I think there's a lot of truth in what you
because
just
I'm not
said.
going to say what's politically correct because you want me to.
I know there's a lot of truth
Like,
in what you just said, but the other part of that is we politicians running on issues like you just talked about, this whole keeping men out of women's sports. That's an issue that has zero impact whatsoever, that just gets people's feelings involved, but there's no real substance behind it. You got 10 transgender athletes out of over 500,000, but yet people keep talking about it like it's some big deal. The other issue,
I agree. I don't disagree with you on that, Nathan.
sometimes it's more harmful for the government to come in and try to address an issue like this, a social issue like this, rather than just allow the states to figure it out for themselves. The NC2As can figure it out. There's no real burning issue here, and we got to stop telling women that they cannot compete against men. What's going to be next, Kevin? You going to start telling women they're not as smart as men? Women can compete with men.
I don't know why you keep
because
making
it's
that
a
leap.
slippery slope to what you're saying.
Women are actually smarter than men. It's kind of
women are smarter than men, and I can show you numerous examples of on all ages, young women,
I ever said that women are smart?
young adult athletes.
I said I'm talking competitive,
and they can compete
How do you
against
go
males.
from sports to IQ? How do you go from sports to
It's
IQ?
a slippery
How do you
slope.
make that
When you
leap?
start telling women they can't do something, Kevin, it's a slippery slope.
We're not telling women they can't do something.
They
We're
can't
telling
compete with men.
transgender women what they can't.
You're telling women they can't compete with men.
I just personally think
and that I don't think that there should be any political parties.
Yeah,
I mean,
I agree with you on that.
Democratic and Republican, and I mean, obviously, I in the past have been a true blue, dyed-in-the-wool Democrat, but then I saw this big difference between me and the party. And they really don't represent me, and they don't care to represent me, and they don't want to represent the really true blue dyed-in-the-wool Democrats. Otherwise, we'd have equality already, and they don't actually want that. They're big business establishment Democrats or whatever. But I think that the point is that all the parties do serve to do really is separate us. They don't unite us. And I think there should be no parties. Each person runs on their own merit. Why have a party? Because, I mean, a lot of these issues are so divisive, like the abortion issue. Why is that a Democratic issue? Like, why did that get stuffed in there? And the other issues that Kevin has mentioned. I think that they really, really divide people. And I think we're seeing that now more than we ever have. There's hardly any middle of the road Democrats. There's hardly any middle of the road Republicans. We have these two polar extremes, and nobody likes each other, and you can't talk to each other. I guess in my day, even on this like local city council, there wasn't this big divisiveness between Democrats. My mom worked for and was the chief of staff and the legislative aide, wrote the laws for Charles P. Taft. Now, he was a Charterite, so he was a third party type candidate. But his dad was the president of the United States of America. He was Republican William Howard Taft. But those Republicans in those days, back in the day of Guy Guggenberger and the different Republicans that were, high caliber Republicans on our local city council, they just didn't have that animosity toward the other party. It wasn't even about party. It was about person. And that's how they ran. They ran as an individual person, not as party. And when you become sort of affiliated, like with this party situation, like in my case, obviously my party turned against me. I don't give a F about that.
Why?
But
Why?
well,
But
they never liked me to begin. You know, when I first approached them to run in 2003, Mark Mallory laughed at me right in the meeting.
He
And
laughed
but
at you.
oh yeah, he laughed at me.
About what? You told a joke, or
No, that I'm going to run for Cincinnati City Council, just because of my activist nature, I suppose. I mean, I can't say why. I knew his dad. His dad is a wonderful person, and he supported me. In fact, he told me to say that I'm endorsed by Democrats. He said, Democrats like you, right? You know some Democrats that like you? I said, yeah. He said, okay, put on there that you're endorsed by Democrats. But anyway, long and short is that, you know, there's a huge disconnect between the people and the party. I mean, obviously, the Cincinnati, you know, where's the connection between the black community and the Democratic Party? I mean, it barely exists, if at all. I mean, you know, where's the African American caucus or whatever, you know, the outreach, the African American outreach, whatever. You go to these meetings, there are tons of white people and maybe a sprinkling of black people, you know, typically in the meetings and in the upper echelons. But anyway, my point is that it's now more than ever. You know, we're supposed to be united. You know, the United States of America and all that. Where's the unity? There's no unity, and it's making it worse and worse and worse, not helping.
Yeah, I just
You know why that is?
oops.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go
No,
ahead,
I just wanted
Rosemary.
to say
I'll
I just
jump in
wanted to
after
say
you get
something
done.
because I wanted to jump off. I see a lot of people making comments. I really do appreciate everybody that supported Rosemary's Babies Company over the last decade. Like it wasn't easy because teen pregnancy and parenting is a very difficult plight because of the stereotype. The stereotype never changes. And so for those that support, that understand, I truly want to change the trajectory of families and how they're viewed in the eyes by people, because sometimes that stigma never leaves you, and that's a trauma in itself too, that you always feel like you're insufficient. And so for those that have supported, for those that intend to support, like I'm grateful. And so
I
and
support you.
yeah, like I think that you're right. We've sat in many rooms across many tables. And so again, running for office was just another way for me also to be able to put this specific, you know, epidemic, this specific problem on, again, out in the forefront, especially when they're alleviating funding for teen pregnancy prevention. So last thing I kind of want to say is keep your eyes on all the races. Because again, I don't like, I look at all the candidates, and while I did not win the as the front runner for the congressional district 1, you know, Greg Landsman has a battle because of the redlining and things such as that. And so, I mean, sorry, the redistricting. And so he has a battle. And when we look at the numbers, you know, what does that candidate look like? And contact that candidate and ask questions. Because I think that we also forget on the other side, what if this person does win? What does it look like for us? Can we have a conversation with that person? And I think that's what makes it great, like for a person like Kevin Aldridge and Nathan, because you have to be able to have those conversations, especially in business. So if Amy Acton wins, yeah, I can have a conversation with her because I know her, I've talked to her. But if Vivek Ramaswamy wins, hey, are you going to alleviate these programs? Are you going to follow suit with your current administration or your party? And so we have to be able to ask both sides those tough questions. And I think that is kind of coincides with what Brian said. It brings us back to the middle of, if these people win, we still have to be able to have these conversations, and we have to stop this polarization, because it is truly hurting families, hurting Americans, and specifically Black people. And because I know we didn't get to that report by the Urban League and things such as that, but specifically those that are underrepresented, that includes heavily Black people, Black women, and these parenting youth that I serve. they are struggling. And I don't care if I got to go out here as a Republican, as a saint, as a preacher, and all the things to be able to advocate for this specific group, because that's what I'm passionate about. And again, I appreciate everybody's support, especially giving me a platform to kind of talk, Nathan, on Hot Mic. So I appreciate that.
Oh yeah, and hopefully you'll be back for season 5 and season 6.
I'll be back.
Hey Brian, it's been great having you on the show, man, this week. So hopefully we'll reconnect, and we're gonna take a hiatus probably to the end of August, and we'll be back for the next season, season 4. So
man, somebody called me and said, if you keep saying, this was a black person, if you keep saying like like racism is the reason for black people having a hard time, I'm gonna quit being your friend.
Really?
Yeah.
From the show?
That's crazy.
Yeah, they listen to your show. They're
wow. That's deep, man.
Are
you friends? It begs the question: are you friends right now?
Yeah.
Right. Well, that's a good question. I mean, I thought we were.
Yeah, I mean, are you really friends anyway? But I'm sorry. Go ahead, Kevin.
No, but that's an example of what I was gonna say, that we kind of got to stop doing. And I think, and I get why it happens, because and I feel it too, that there's such a disdain for kind of Trump and what he represents, and maybe what you feel like Republicans represent, that a lot of times when a black person sides with that they become the enemy or grounds to dismiss their thoughts or their ideas. But again, I go back, when you think about somebody like Rosemary and others who are smart individuals who are involved in the community, it's not that simple. And I think as a race of people, we got, on some level, yes, challenge each other, hold each other accountable, make them answer tough questions. But I think this notion of you're no longer invited to the barbecue has got to go by the wayside, because the reality being is, let's just say, for the sake of argument, Rosemary had won her primary, and let's just say that she would have beaten Greg Landsman in a conventional election. At least she's scared. At least she shares your skin color, understands some of your concerns, and has done work in the community. So would you throw that all away and say, "Oh, I'm not going to talk to her or deal with her, or she's not really down for the community," and forget everything that because she would have won under the Republican banner? I don't know that that's always a healthy way of thinking either. That yes, you definitely have some who you look at and you like, yeah, they sold all the way out, but that may not necessarily be the case for every black individual who chooses to align themselves. And I get why I understand why it is. Even as I'm saying it, I understand why it is so very difficult in this environment to kind of, embrace the notion of quote unquote the black era of Trump. But sometimes I think we got to be a little bit smarter than that. Sometimes we can't be so led by our emotions that we don't think critically about, to her point, how do you use that and leverage that to have conversations and maybe kind of try to get developments that, there might be some of the things that you want to see happen, in your community. Could not a Rosemary bring, things back to Cincinnati that would be helpful to the community, the black community, and the community in general, even from the Republican side of the aisle? Theoretically, had she won. But I think if you create enemies, then that becomes harder. That becomes harder to have those kinds of conversations. And the other thing, I think, when Brian brought up the parties and getting rid of parties, and my initial reaction was going to say, I don't think parties are the problem. But yeah, parties are kind of the problem. But I think the bigger problem is that American voters don't trust themselves, right? There's not enough independent thought amongst the American electorate to just kind of trust themselves and vote for who they want to vote for, and not feel like obligated to vote for who the party tells you to vote for. Because, that's how this narrative goes, is that every year the party kind of has a person that they want to win, when they put out their slate there, and I said this in this past election, that there were several good candidates who weren't on the Democratic slate that I thought would have been perfectly good selections for Cincinnati City Council. They would have done as good a job, maybe even a better job than some of the people who actually got elected. But I kind of feel like there's this, whether it's locally or nationally, there's kind of this slavish devotion to what the party says or who the party says that you should vote for, even if you don't kind of on some level even really know everything about them. Or I think it might be that to more or less a degree. Like, I haven't done my homework, and so I'm just, the party said this person is cool, so that's who I'm gonna go with. So I would love to see, I think, a solution to that, because I don't think the party system's going anywhere anytime soon. But I think the antidote to that is less groupthink and more independent thought, research and study, and trusting your gut about who you think is going to do the best job, regardless of what the party says, instead of just, taking what they spoon feed you. I think a lot of people do. I think a lot of people take what the candidates that the party spoon feed, and they pull that trigger, for them no matter what. And it's like, I get it, because it's hard when you got 30 candidates running for city council. That's a tough ask for a person to intimately know the platform and where everybody in that race. Like, that's a tall order. Like, it's a tall order when you got 3 candidates, like 3 or 4 candidates can be challenging, let alone as many as we have for city council. So I get it's asking people to do a lot of work, but I think that's the antidote to what Brian described. Just this sort of party machine that spoons feed us the candidates that they think should represent us versus the candidates that actually the people actually want.
Or a third party, or reform this one, which I think
that's all
is
I
what
got,
they were
guys.
trying to do.
That's all I got. Appreciate you. Hey, Terrence, appreciate everybody here. Appreciate you. We'll be back. We'll be back before you know it. We'll be back before you know it. And then check our Facebook page for just updates, clips, highlights. We might do some polls, Hot Mic season awards, things like that. So just keep your eyes on this page, and we'll connect with you real soon. Have a good weekend.
God bless.
Absolutely. Thanks to Rosemary Field Terrace, and also Brian Gary and Kevin Aldridge, and thank you to the chat.